justify that now, and I mean, obviously I know how you justify it, but I'm simply saying that, like, once if she accepts,
can you read it again?
Then it just says the infliction or imposition of a penalty as a retribution for an offense.
Exactly. So it's a retribution. First of all, the word retribution is very, very important. And this is where we're missing. The blockade was not a retribution for anything that happened. It was a blockade is for things that will happen. The retribution was against those that committed those crimes, and they are either in jail or dead. That is a retribution. What you're talking about is consequences.
Well, I'm simply saying that I'm simply saying if she operates from the framework that a state cannot punish me for the sins of other people, I mean, I technically agree with all of that, but I operate from the framework of that's completely irrelevant when you have nothing to do with that within that state, and my state is at war with your state. Like, all of that goes to that's completely irrelevant when it comes to states. But she doesn't operate under that framework, so that's what you have to kind of go with, not bickering over like what's a punishment or not. So,
and I disagree with you because I don't think the state it matters right now. I think the word matters.
She does not.
And I don't get. I understand that this is where you are talking. This is not what I'm talking about, and I will stop talking about it because you seem to not understand what I'm talking about. I don't care about the state. No, I'm talking about the word punishment, and I already said 5 or 6 times that it's the same with a woman and child. There is no state that you need to have or be obedient to understand what is a punishing when a mother punishes her child. This is what I'm talking about. You
agree.
But no, you don't agree. You actually argue with me that she cannot handle it because she has a different framework to understand the word punishment, and I don't accept it. Sorry, guys.
That's not what I said.
This is what you understand. We agree with you. We are telling you that she does not agree with you, and just because we understand her differently than you do does not mean that we agree with her.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and I understand what you're saying for the 6th time, and again, I don't agree with you, and I don't think that you let her a chance, and I think that if I don't think that she's so stupid or so like narrow-minded, and I do think that if she will stop for 10 seconds and look for the word and we can break it down, maybe she will come to a conclusion to understand what the word punishment is. Forget about collective or state or nations or people. I don't care about it because I'm not talking about the collective part. I'm talking about the punishment part. And I'm saying it for the 8th time, and if it didn't go through by now, then I'm giving up.
First of all, I did not interrupt her one time when she spoke. I did not say one word while she was on stage except for let her finish what she had to say because other people kept interrupting her. So, I mean, she's still in the room. If she would like to come on stage, I would actually be interested to know if I represented her position well or not.
I didn't even see she's there. I mean, if she wants to come up, she's more than welcome.
Yes,
anybody who interrupts her is getting put down instantly. I don't care who it is.
Yes. I believe the treatment that Miss Beeman has had, in my opinion, is absolutely disgusting. Everybody should be ashamed of themselves.
Beeman invited you up. How are you here? No, she's here.
Okay, thanks guys. Sorry, I had to take a break. I know it gets frustrating and I get frustrated sometimes. Daniel, I apologize. I don't articulate myself well, but if you just give me a few seconds, sometimes I know it's really difficult, but I usually think that I can explain myself. If not, you could guide me, but I apologize. I'll work on that. I have been working on it. You had to hear me in the beginning when I first came on here.
I meant to put a thumbs up, but it became a smiley. I didn't mean to put a smiley.
So I understand that you're caught up on the word punishment, but it doesn't matter. I'm not using it as a normative claim. I'm using it as just a descriptive element of what has happened, right? It doesn't matter the intent. The intent doesn't matter. It's what's actually happening. And that's what collective punishment, like the states, that's specifically what they use it for. They use it in the case that you said to protect themselves. You had mentioned something and you said it very clearly, and I appreciate that. You said, it's the intent matters, and you don't, Israel isn't doing it because they want to punish, but they're doing it to protect and what will happen in the future. And that's exactly why people use collective punishment. That is the exact definition of why collective punishment came about. It is for future harms. In all cases of political science, it's not to harm, quote unquote harm people. It's to protect future harms from happening. Right? So that's all that I wanted.
But that is not the definition of punishment, as Simon just read it from the dictionary. It's about retribution for an offense, not about preventing future things. And you're talking about collective punishment, as a security measure, you call it collective punishment. Not having a security is also collective punishment, don't you think? So basically it's a decision who will suffer and how much. Will the Israelis be slaughtered, or will the Palestinians have to suffer inconvenience of going through a gate? What do you think is better?
I think what would be better would be that a bunch of peaceful people who don't support Hamas can live peacefully and aren't collectively punished for the harms. Okay.
I mean, at the end, we need to, there's a threat going on, and then we say, okay, if it's a blockade or checkpoints, we need to put these measures. You call it punishment, and by the way, intentions do matter. That is what differentiates between manslaughter, murder, and an accident, okay? It turns it into a crime, okay? When you call everything that is inconvenience a crime, that is a very slippery slope. Intentions do matter, and the definition of punishment has an intention. It's retribution, okay? It's to make you pay for what you did. But imposing security threats and calling it punishment is just incorrect. And the other option is that we will not have security, which also has a threat. So what should we do? Who should be punished?
Daniel, I don't think you're arguing with me at this point. What you're arguing with is the definition and the understanding of collective punishment in the realm of...
No. I am arguing with you because you are the one invoking the word punishment. And I'm trying to ask you why do you call it punishment.
Right, but it's not punishment unilateral. It's specifically collective punishment. And because there are things that are done to, even in your mind, like I'll steel man it for you, like I'll take your position. Even if it's, let's say I'm a part of Israel, I'm there, I'm living there, it is still descriptively, okay, it is descriptively inflicting harm on people that have not done something. It is the consequence. That's why that's the whole definition of it. So it doesn't matter the intent, right? In this particular case, collective punishment, it doesn't matter the intent. What matters is the consequences, is the outcome. And because there are some people who are being harmed for the actions of other people, that is why they call it collective punishment, because those few people are being punished for the actions of the others. And the punishment specifically...
Why do you call it punish? Why do you call it punishment?
Daniel, could you please maybe come up with a different word? I mean, this is kind of silly. We're arguing over the meaning of punishment, and I think what Bima is trying to say is creating a future for the people of Gaza where they are suffering consequences for something they haven't done is a problem. Maybe the right word isn't collective punishment, but could you suggest a better word?
No, because I tell you why not. Because punishment is one party inflicting on another, okay? Calling it a problem or that they are suffering, yes. But then you're not blaming us for causing the suffering. Yes, they make stupid mistakes, they face consequences, life is horrible. I agree with this. What she's implying, that we are punishing actively with intention the Palestinian population because some people did some bad things. And that is basically a blood libel. So this is why it's important. If she's willing to give up the claim of collective punishment, happily. But again, she's talking about the collective punishment. I didn't realize, still she didn't convince me, or she didn't try it, to explain why is it punishment. Everything that is uncomfortable for you is punishment? No.
No, Daniel, here, let me give you an example, okay? I happen to love pit bulls. Pit bulls are one of my, it's a thing for me. A lot of people don't, pit bulls. People.
What is that?
They're little dogs. They're little dogs that can be very
Pit bulls saved my life, changed my life forever. So I have an affinity for pit bulls. A lot of people don't like pit bulls. So now imagine I have 10 pit bulls and I bring them to the dog park with a bunch of other dogs, okay? Now they're all playing. One of my pit bull, let's say two of my 10 pit bulls gets in a fight with the other dogs and they start beating them up. They attack them. My 2 pit bulls attack them. But then I take all 10 of my pit bulls and I say, oh, sorry, we all gotta go. And nobody could play anymore because 2 of you proved to be bad and did something bad. I'm going to take all 10 of you now, and now we all have to, we're all back to the car. That's it. That's collective punishment. Okay? And that's all that I'm saying. So when you use any type of sanctions, massive blockades, these types of things, it's just collective punishment by definition.
No.
I understand. So let's say you have, I don't know what is people, but let's say pit bulls, or did you mean pit bulls?
It's a dog, pit bull, terrier, pit bull.
It's a big dog.
It's a controversial dog in the US, yeah.
Okay, so let's say there were a few instances of pit bulls that were biting other dogs in this dog park. And then after it happened, yes, those dogs were like barred for life. But then they said, listen, pit bulls needs to come with a muzzle. Would you consider this a punishment for all pit bulls? And I want to ask you on top of this, hold on, what if we don't so-called punish the pit bulls? What about the rest of the dogs that are being slaughtered by those pit bulls? Like every week one dog gets killed. So what is your solution? Not to impose any bad...
I know what you would say. It's on an individual case. You can't say...
So, okay, so we wait...
I
understand. So every time... Okay, so every time a pit bull kills another dog, we will just say, okay, this pit bull is not allowed, and all the rest, and then another pit bull kills, and then another pit bull kills, and then another pit bull kills.
Yes, it's a violation of individual rights. You cannot apply 1 case, 10 cases, 20 cases to all cases. You cannot do that. It's not the...
Okay, and what about if I say all dogs should be with a muzzle in the dog park? Is that also...
That's the same thing. You're actually using... No, he's using perfect examples. That's exactly right. Exactly right. When you collectivize, instead of individual actions, and you collectivize, you presume that punishing a animal or a dog for future actions that haven't had... That is, yes, collective punishment, precisely.
Yeah.
So you see, for example, putting a muzzle on the dog as a punishment for the dog.
Right, exactly. As long as, hold on. Actually, this is one of the biggest reasons.
The intention is to punish so you believe that the intention of on his face when he goes to the dog park is to punish him.
No, the regulation itself is the actual punishment. The fact that
yes.
You have freedom.
Yes.
And I mean, I believe in this as well. Don't even get this twisted. I don't believe in collective punishment either. On an individual basis. But I'm operating under a framework that you cannot apply this in the context of another nation, because the reality is that it cannot be done. So, a blockade, for example, it's not collective punishment against another people. It's the protection of individual rights of your own citizens. So
exactly,
it's
the
not
intention matters.
Yeah, the intention matters, but it's also it's not about punishing other people. A blockade is literally we're protecting our own civilians at even if it's at your own expense. The moral obligation of your nation is to protect your nation, the individual rights of your people, not if it's at the expense of yours, tough, basically.
Daniel, I'm a little confused, and I think you could really enlighten me here. Are you in favor of a two-state solution, or are you not in favor of a two-state solution?
I'm not anymore. I don't see any possibility of a two-state solution, to be honest. And not only this, I don't think that anyone wants a two-state solution, not the Israelis, nor the Palestinians. So it's a made-up idea.
I'm in favor of a two-state solution as long as the threat to Israel is close to zero.
We're saying the same thing, Richard.
Do you think, Daniel, that Trump making Jerusalem the home of the American embassy accelerated this your thinking or the situation at all?
No, I don't think no, because Jerusalem is our capital. It's not changing. 7th of October made a lot of changes to it, definitely. It made the Palestinian state go far, far, far away to the future, if at all.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that you would have been in favor of a two-state solution until the 9th of October?
Most Israelis were.
Okay, that is very helpful. Thank you. That has been so clear that I can now engage in more intelligent discussions with people from your region. Thank you.
We were for it, by the way, because we were actually in this hopeful belief that it's possible. And after 7th of October, we understood that it's far from being possible, that even the people that were working at Israeli homes were actually providing information to Hamas about who lives where, who has a dog, how many children, how many rooms, all this information so they can go and slaughter those people. Even those people that were taken care of by Israel.
If I were to say that Hamas is the successor to the PLO, would you agree or disagree?
No, they're not.
You would disagree. So these two things have nothing to do with each other. Thank you.
They hate each other. And basically, both corrupt governments that are exploiting the Palestinian people. And if you would Google or ask like an AI to list you the top, 10 leaders of the Palestinians throughout the ages and how much wealth each one has and how they got their wealth, you will see where all the money that the West is pouring into the Palestinians is going to. They don't want a state.
I feel like the PLO was the entity that came up with Jimmy Carter the two-state solution. So when you say that the PLO and Hamas hate each other, that helps me know that this is no longer. I'm becoming persuaded to your point of view that this is no longer viable. But up until this discussion, I wasn't persuaded because I always envisioned the Palestinians as being oppressed by a lack of wealth and by a lack of organization. But if they're at the point that they will not subject themselves to organization, then I can gradually be persuaded to your point of view.
People that support Hamas and Hamas's efforts believe that the PLO are just the pets of like Israel and the Zionists because they work together. So like this is one of the reasons why they kind of hate each other.
Do you know how many people actually support the PA for the Palestinians? I think it's a very low percentage.
Yeah, very
them as legitimately, yeah. No one, that is part of this joke of recognizing Palestinian state. They have nothing. They have no leadership. They have no parliament. They have no they have nothing. What are you recognizing? So
yes, in the practical world, I understand this. What I'm about to ask you is only theoretical, and I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to push something that isn't real. But if the UN were to go into Palestine and force or compel the people to live under a Palestinian state that was developed to be civilized, and that was to educate the people and take care of their basic needs. Would you be opposed to that?
No, they have to get it. I don't think that. Of course, they need to be getting with the yes, I support this, of course. We all support this. I will tell you, if there's one entity that is doing things for the Palestinians, it's Israel. The UN is not the solution. UN is part of the Palestinian problem. UNRWA, that exists for 75 years as a refugee, whatever, is not settled zero Palestinians. They are keeping the Palestinians as stateless refugees, victims on welfare. And they got used to it. That is the problem. They have zero independence. zero autonomy, not because of us. And they are very much oppressed by the Hamas and by the rulers. But the world is like talking about Israel, this is why I'm saying we should not oppose the Palestinian state. I think we should say, sure, go ahead, recognize the Palestinian state, and good luck to the Palestinian state. But the Palestinians will have to build it. No one will hand over a state for them. This is what they're missing.
Do you support Benjamin Netanyahu?
No.
Oh, wow. You see, this is the problem, because when I see Benjamin Netanyahu on American TV, I hear such, such disrespect for these human beings, the Palestine, and I recognize that their ideology is evil. And I'm not trying to say I support, any of their evil, but those of us who are not close to the situation, it probably is somewhat the way you might feel when you see Donald Trump. I don't know. But I think this is a piece of the understanding in the United States.
What do you mean disrespectful? What do you mean? What did he say that was disrespectful to the
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me try to say it.
It doesn't really be accurate, just like the sense of it.
No, I like this. I think you're right. And I think that one of the challenges in our modern world is being specific. I had a paradigm prior to this discussion, and this discussion has moved my paradigm. I'm coming much more to your point of view. But when I first came into this room and heard you and Bima talking, I was locking more into my position that you don't think the Palestinians are human, that you want to limit their freedom because they are a subhuman class. And that is not a fair representation of your point of view at all, is it?
I wasn't even close to this. I wish them prosperity and health and good jobs and good work. But they are a threat right now, and we need to acknowledge that they are a threat. I don't have anything, I don't want to cause their harm. To be honest, Israel is scared for one thing. We want to live in safety and security. That's it. We don't care too much about the Palestinians, to be honest.
Well, there's no problem with you. You should be able to live in safety and security. I absolutely agree with this. It's just incredible to me how poor our understanding of this situation really is, because most of the media we get comes with one bias or another, and I accept the argument that the U.S. Media is maybe slightly biased, or I shouldn't even say maybe, is slightly biased to the Palestinians, because we still are thinking of a two-state solution.
I'm not sure that they are necessarily biased. They are very unprofessional, and they are fighting a world that their income is based at the end of ads. Okay, and if the Twitter sphere is talking about a hospital that was bombed and they're getting reports from Gaza and 500 people, so they will do like breaking news: Israel bombed a hospital, 500 people died. They didn't check anything, but they don't have time. They need to kind of be fast in order to be relevant. That is the problem that the mainstream media is having, that they kind of lost, they don't have the time anymore to fact check. They need to announce today how many people died today and what happened today, and getting the information from Gaza. They are not in Gaza. The information coming out of Gaza is Hamas. All of it.
I really thank you for your time. I'm not going to take any more of it, but you have been extremely clear, and I have revised my views, and I apologize for being maybe a little judgmental at the beginning. Thank you.
You don't need to apologize. Actually, the fact that you're asking questions is great, and you don't assume that you know everything, which is amazing by itself. So come on.
Okay.
I have a question about leadership in the West Bank. Why is there no leadership? Are they being suppressed? Are there no young men who oppose Abbas? Or are there no elections, etc.? I don't even know how the system works there.
I mean, they haven't had elections in 20 years.
Yeah, Mahmoud Abbas is in his 20 years of his 4-year term.
So there've been no elections. That's not part of their government to have elections.
No, it is. They just don't do it. Yes.
They just don't do it.
They were elected for 4-year terms. 4-year term. Is now on the 20th year. And the reason that they say it is because East Jerusalem is not part of the Palestinian Authority, and until the people in the East Jerusalem can vote, they will not hold elections.
Oh. What do you think of that? What is it, East Jerusalem? What is it a part of?
It's part of Israel, obviously.
Okay, so they oppose the borders. That they
basically, it's an excuse to stay in power. Let's be honest, okay? You could have election because Gaza is separated from the West Bank, and they manage, okay? They have two different governments, and they could have elections in the West Bank and in Gaza if they only wanted to, but it's corrupt leadership, and the entire world is silent about it. Not only this, they reward them with a place in the UN and now recognition of what? Of two terror organizations that is abusing their own people with the corruption stealing from them. This is what they recognize. This is why it's so funny to me to hear that France and the UK and other idiot politicians are recognizing this entity. It's weird.
Canada too.
If they really wanted to vote, they could create an app that will allow them to vote.
Yeah, also.
Or they can just have them mail in a ballot, but they don't. They say as long as this territory is not ours, or recognized as ours, then we won't allow people to vote, and therefore we won't have elections.
Oh. That's sort of double-sided. They're saying our country is not legitimate. We can't have elections because we don't. Oh, wow. What about young men there? Are there any young politicians there that are being suppressed, or they just have no interest? They're completely.
No. You have two ways. Either you are becoming, you join one of the terror hubs like the Jenin terror camp or whatever. If you are advocating for peace or coexistence, you are labeled as a traitor, as a Zionist, as a operator for Israel, and you could be executed without a trial.
What if you
just for the fact?
Yeah. Go on.
The second gay man executed last week in the West Bank.
Really?
What if they advocated for elections? What if they were like an opposition party? They would be considered traitors because they would have to recognize that East Jerusalem wasn't part of that.
Basically, first of all, I wish there was, and I'm asking this in Palestinian rooms, and of course they know nothing about it, but there is no Palestinian leader that is not a terrorist, unfortunately, right now. And when I mean a leader, is someone that actually has followers. People tell me like Hassan, what's his name? The Green Prince, Hassan Youssef.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a Palestinian voice, but no one, he has no followers in the Palestinian people. And the Palestinian narrative is basically whatever we do wrong to our people or we don't do is because of Israel. And as long as they can blame Israel, the world is quiet.
This Abbas dies, what's going to happen?
They'll probably have a civil war, and then somebody else will take over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone else just like him.
Could be worse. Could be worse, yeah.
He didn't actually
But
come
it
to
will
kill
probably
him
be
in
by
his
force.
position.
It will either be by force or it will be like an action that you will have I don't know, Hamas, Fatah, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad for them to select for. So it doesn't matter what they select, it will be who will oppress and brutalize us.
Well,
And use us to attack.
Americans, people in America really don't understand the politics and the struggles of the Middle East, and they don't. I mean, I don't want to blame it on being Arab or Muslim or anything like that, but there is a history and a culture that existed in that part of the world that Americans don't understand, and it's not like America in the same way. It's like, I mean, in many ways they resent the West for like bringing them these nation states, but enforcing them on them. But really, if you think about it, how many of the countries around surrounding Israel actually had elections that didn't end up in somebody dying?
Like, when people say free Palestine, and I'm like thinking free as what? As Syria, as Lebanon? No, they actually want free Palestine to be like Israel, the one that they want to destroy. The only prosperous place in the Middle East without natural resources is Israel. The only democracy, the only place that you can have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of protest, freedom of opposition. That's the only place. And the entire world is focused on us. Look at Syria, look at Lebanon, look at Egypt, look at Iraq, look at Yemen, look at like all those free nations. This is what they want to another place like this.
And I hear people
Man,
say
listen,
free
if they go back to the 1992 agreement, 1993 agreement, it would be good enough.
We cannot go back.
To even have that, yeah, they're in no position.
No, we cannot go
to
back.
Me, when I hear free Palestine, it's like listening to like. Did anyone watch that movie Braveheart?
Oh wow, I don't remember it. Yes, I saw it a long time ago.
Okay, well, in the movie, there's a part where Mel Gibson is saying freedom, and basically, like, he's not talking about any real sense of freedom. Like, he's basically saying we want to be oppressed by our own king, not the English king. So it's not like they're actually advocating for real freedoms. They're just saying, listen, we want to be oppressed by who we want. And it's like oppressed by Israel, oppressed by Hamas. You're still being oppressed. I mean, these people don't have a conception of what political freedoms mean. So it's very difficult to take that sentence very as serious as they expect it to mean.
But listen, Simon, do you live in Israel?
No.
Have you ever been to Israel?
Not yet.
Have you ever been to Israel, man?
Simon, come visit. It's
I'm gonna
amazing.
come with my girlfriend.
Let me know when you come.
Yeah, so you don't know what's happening there, bro.
I'm in Israel.
Because I'm free from the occupation, yeah?
I'm in Israel. What is your question?
What?
What if I said it's wrong instead of just telling me I haven't been to Israel?
Yeah, man. So you don't know what is happening.
No, but that's not what I asked. What did I say?
I wonder if he was in Israel. That he knows.
Yeah, man. I was there 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
Okay. What did I say that is wrong? Don't tell me that I haven't been to Israel. Just say, Simon, you're wrong in what you said because X, Y, Z.
No. What you said was wrong. When you hear free Palestine, it's like hearing like free what? You mean? Like Mel Gibson when he said like freedom, but freedom for what? But freedom for Palestine, man. Freedom for the people, man. That's what this means, man.
But freedom is something specific, and I'm saying when Palestinians say freedom, and when Palestinians say free Palestine, it means free, like to actually be free. But these people don't have a notion of freedom. That's why they're in the predicament that they're in. So there's nothing to suggest that they have no concept of what freedom is. So
because they've been occupied for fucking 75 years, man.
So why are you asking for
God. You said 75 years? Yeah, so let's do a quick history. 75 years ago, who controlled Gaza?
No, I'm not talking about Gaza. We're talking about Palestine. Palestine is Gaza. West Bank.
What? Okay, so I'm asking you about Gaza. Who occupied?
Jerusalem is the capital of Gaza.
Hello. I asked a question. You said that there's an occupation for 75 years. So 75. You know what? 70 years ago, who occupied Gaza?
7 years ago, occupied Gaza.
Yes, you said that it's occupation of 75 years, right?
It was a
So I'm
democracy.
asking you.
It was a democracy.
Can you listen to my question?
Of course.
No, no Hamas.
You want to this answer?
Wow.
Say Hamas.
Can you hold on? Hamas was created in 1988, okay? And you said that Palestine has been occupied for 75 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
The Israeli military.
I'm asking you who occupied the West Bank and Gaza 75 years ago. This occupation? Who occupied it 75 years ago? Do you know?
Who occupied Palestine? I mean, who occupied Palestine? The whole country, you know?
Even that premise is wrong.
The British. Before that, it was the British.
But
No,
are you trying to say?
so
Wait. Is he trying to say that Gaza and West Bank is not part of Palestine?
No, you don't know what he said.
Palestine, of course. This is what I'm saying.
Okay,
So I will
Gaza, West Bank and Gaza, 75
The whole
years.
land, man, from Haifa to Jaffa
Yeah,
to,
but right.
to Jerusalem.
Listen, calm down.
So now he's not talking about.
Palestine.
He's not talking. Okay. So, you are a genocidal jihadi idiot, and you actually call for the genocide of all Jews from Israel, and that is what. And you're using it as like, the poor Palestinians, they just want to wipe out the Jews and take their land. So no, dude, that is not your right or a Palestinian right to wipe the Jews off the map. Haifa, Tel Aviv was never a Palestinian state. Never, ever. It was created in 1908 by Zionists on dunes. It was never, ever at any single point in history and time part of a Palestinian state. And 75 years ago, and 75 years ago, I will say this because I don't think that I want to spend my time because you are very, very uninformed. But just so you know, 75 years ago, there was a war, and during the war, Egypt conquered Gaza and occupied it until 1967, and Jordan conquered the West Bank and occupied it. So the occupation that you're talking about that started 75 years ago was Arabs conquering Arabs, not Jews. You want to bet? I'm not going to have a conversation and I'm not going to have a discussion about this. Samson, if you would like to play with the food, enjoy. This is too low level for me.
It's too low.
No, listen. There was not.
Is anyone interested?
They was conquering the fucking gypsies.
Simon, Sam, George.
What's next?
Okay,
It's flat, right? We live on the moon.
Yeah. I don't have energy for this.
I don't know, man.
Like, I would engage. Yeah.
I mean, there was too many logical fallacies. You're wrong because you didn't go to Israel. Okay.
Literally crazy. I go there every time.
No, I'm saying that was your position. That's what your argument was to me. You're not telling me that I'm wrong because of any actual argument. You just tell me, well, you haven't been to Israel, so
I say
you're
you
wrong.
are wrong because, like, saying free Palestine, you feel like this does not mean a thing for you. But yes, this mean a lot of things, man. For a lot of people,
It means nothing. It just means that they want to vote for their own oppression.
Man,
Which is the
listen,
case. I mean, they did that in 2007. I mean, like you already have a nation that is relatively free by today's standards, and rather than actually be free and prosperous under a nation that protects individual rights, they voted against, like, you know, they voted the complete opposite of what Israel stood for, and they suffered as a result of that. So it's like, I don't really
of course,
care.
in every occupation, you got to have a resistance, man.
Occupation,
No,
it's not a normal thing.
Like when Germany was trying to take over France.
You're not oppressed. This isn't the oppression Olympics.
In World War II, when they have in a war, and Germany was trying to take over France, you know what France did? They resist.
You think that Germany? Where was your sovereign state?
France and fucking Belgium and all
You
other
say-
countries resist the German?
Do you really think you're France?
German
This-
Nazis?
Where was your southern state?
Or you're Germany. You're Germany.
This is a joke.
Yeah, but don't you think that they resisted?
Do you
I'm asking
understand
you,
the analogy?
they resist or what? What was resistance?
When it's
There was a
convenient for
resistance.
you, you call yourself France, but you're Germany.
But the French people, did they resist the occupation of the fucking Germans? Or
Okay,
no?
but
Yes
That's
or
what the
no?
Jewish people are doing.
If you think you're trying to
Because you
put yourself
wanna
in the
take that
position
land
of,
back.
you're not France in this scenario, bro. You're literally Germany. So
You're
it's
Germany. You're huge.
No, I'm not German.
It's like
You're
it's
Germany
basically
by a
like saying-
lot. A lot.
It's
You're
basically
huge.
like saying Poland went after like Poland or you're basically saying
Okay.
Germany
okay.
went after
listen,
France,
listen,
but
listen.
France is beating Germany.
I wanna
You're
give
saying,
you.
oh, I can't believe
I wanna give you a brand new example.
Go
Look
ahead.
at Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah,
Russia
you're
trying to
Ukraine.
take over Ukraine.
You're
And what is
Russia.
Ukraine doing? They're resisting.
But you're
I'm
Russia.
not
in this
Ukraine,
scenario.
bro.
It's Ukraine.
You're
You're
not
not
Ukraine.
Ukraine. You're Russia.
You're Russia.
Israel is Ukraine.
It's like saying
Israel has always been Ukraine. The Jewish
Now we're
people have
talking
always
politics.
been
Listen, we
Ukraine.
are talking politics, right?
Yes,
Talking
yes, yes.
What am I? What are
The
we
Jewish
talking?
people are the weak good guys, and all around them is the strong bad guys generally. Yeah, that's history. Because the Jewish people represent the highest values, and the people around them have learned from them, but it's,
Listen,
you know.
do you want to talk religion or do you want to talk
No, it's
history or do
history,
you want to talk
social science,
politics?
social history, social history.
Seminary.
It's all about politics.
What's poppin'?
It's all about politics,
Very
man.
good yourself.
When it comes to this, it's
Left.
politics.
What are you saying?
Look,
I'm asking you
look,
another
It's all
question.
about the fact that you guys
you're
George and
Germany.
Seaman, listen.
You're Germany attacking France, and France is winning, and you're crying that France is winning. That's basically what you're saying.
Yes, right now Hamas is winning, man.
Hamas
that
is
what you
what
want?
world? What? Okay, by like what metrics are you saying Hamas is winning?
Hamas is winning because they are putting the rules for the fucking war, man. They're putting the rules for. Man,
Okay,
fuck
so what are you guys crying about then if Hamas is winning?
Yeah, just give the people food, man.
Why?
Why?
The
Why
winning
not?
people.
So do you
are
want
crying
people to
about
starve? No, because this is
The loser could provide
man,
it.
this is-
Yeah, the loser should. You're saying the loser.
Bro, you're in. I don't know what you're talking about, but it's
I
nonsense.
don't know what you're talking about. As if the one
Hamas is
side
winning
has
as
to-
a military group, you know? They are winning. But there are people who are civilians. They need to eat. You know?
civilians. Okay, why is
Civilians, oh
Their
wow.
responsibility.
There are civilians in the
you-
war.
are you pro
So your
Hamas?
grandfather was in the first line in the war?
Are you
Too?
are you pro Hamas?
And I'm pro freedom, man.
I don't think you are if you're advocating for a Palestinian state.
What does it mean when Palestinians have state? What the fuck does that mean? What will happen?
It means that they're going to vote for their own oppression again.
I have a question. What do you
Wait,
think
but
about
isn't
that?
that,
Just let four.
Yeah, Simon, man, listen. If you don't understand nothing about resistance, then you are a weak man. I'm sorry
What
to
do you
say
think
that.
about the Armenian genocide?
Your understanding of resistance is perverted if you think that the Palestinians are resisting anything.
Yes, they are resisting.
What are they resisting?
They are resisting the occupation, man.
Okay, occupation. Okay, of what?
Of the Jews, no, of the fucking gypsies taking over
Okay, so-
the land.
Okay, so what land would this be exactly?
That would be the geographic place placed in the Middle East. And let me see which sea it is again. What is the name of the sea?
The See, you're advocating for these people to be.
You want to take an eraser? You want to take the map and
The middle.
You don't even know where this place is geographically. Like, are you kidding?
Man, I know where this place is
So
geographically.
how do you not know what the Mediterranean
I don't
Sea
know
is?
what the fuck is the name of the sea, you crazy?
what is
It's like one of the most famous seas on the planet. Like, I don't get it.
The
Like,
it's the middle sea,
this is your Google.
Which country are you from?
It's the middle sea, man, you crazy Mediterranean fucking bullshit, man. Middle sea,
Mediterranean Sea, yes. And do you know what river it is, at least?
Where are you from?
Man, I'm from Mars.
No, you're from Yemen.
The things that pass for masculinity nowadays.
This is crazy, bro. This is literally think about what you're advocating for. You don't even know where this place is.
Listen, man, if I still
Can you
don't
tell
got
me
the
the
land,
river?
man, I can say
Can you tell me the river?
where are we centering this?
it's
You already have a Palestinian state. It's called Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and part of
I'm not centering this anymore. I'm done with this guy. As far as
I mean, they already have Palestine. They have 4 different Palestines right
Jordan.
now. They have Jordan, they have Syria, parts of Syria, they have parts of Lebanon, and parts of, and Gaza, of course, which is parts of Egypt. So what else do you want? And I think that, by the way, we gave them a land for peace deal for Gaza. Since they went to war with us, they should be rescinding that. That is literally the right thing to do, is to annex it and kick those people out to Egypt. That is literally part of the deal that we made with Gaza.
It's folly. It's simple folly. Imagine if they made a deal from the very beginning, what that region what the world would have looked like right now. Would we have double the economy we have now?
Look, I keep pointing to the videos that I put it in the chat if you scroll up. And one of the Palestinian leaders basically said that he wants to, that they're waiting for the Western world to die, and they're kind of using the Palestinian cause to do it. And the Ummah, the nation of the Muslims in the world are preparing to try to take it over. Not one to buy into too many conspiracy theories, but this gentleman who was the previous director of Al Jazeera,
I remember that
Iraq.
interview. Yeah, it was on Memory TV.
Well, that was a shorter one, right? But this is there's a full-length interview that he did recently, I think a couple weeks ago, that I suggest to anybody who's curious, watch.
There's a guy called Hero Resistance. I was showing that his prophet, he was doing number 2, and he went straight to eating food without washing his hand. Even his own companion told him, "Hey, aren't you going to wash your hands?" He says, "Why, am I going to prayer?" And he's like, "Yeah, haven't you ever put your hands in your ass and then smelt it, or and then had something to eat afterwards?" Like, "No, I haven't, man. I'm not stupid." It's like, "Oh, you lie. Everyone's done it once in a while." You want crazy something? Don't lower yourself. Don't lower me towards your prophet, dude. Your prophet's in a different level. Now you want us to lower ourselves towards your prophet, man. Get the fuck out of here. Look at this nut job. He's saying white people have been scratching their ass and then putting their fingers in their mouth. This fucker is a nut job. Hey, I found something else as well. Imam Abu Hanifa. Would you like to read my picture profile? This is from Imam Abu Hanifa, the guy who created the most worldwide used school of thought in Sunni Islam. Would you want to read it? Sam?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so here's from Imam Abu Hanifa himself. Pretty much the leading. He's probably the top 3 imams ever in the world. So of all time. So here's from his book Al-Muhalla by Imam Hazm. So so here it is, Ibn Hazm, and Imam Abu Hanifa said, there is no punishment for the one who marries his mother, who gave birth to him, his daughter, his sister, his grandmother, his paternal aunt, his maternal aunt, his brother's daughter, and his sister's daughter, knowing that they were forbidden to him, and having intercourse with all of them. And the child is for him, and he must pay dowry, and only ta'zir is applied on him besides the 40. This is the saying of Sufyan al-Thawri. There you go. So you can marry your daughter, your mom, your grandma. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Judaism has laws preventing all that. Clearly outlined for each relative. And here you believe that.
That's pretty messed up, man. That is pretty messed up. Look at
The
this guy.
language of Judaism is the language of justice. The words of the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, inspiring freedom and justice throughout history for everybody.
Pretty monstrous stuff, man. Pretty monstrous.
I put a hadith in the chat, and it says, and the prophet said, Allah has appointed an angel in the womb, and the angel says, "O Lord, a drop of discharge of semen, quote unquote, or i.e. semen. O Lord, a clot. O Lord, a piece of flesh." And then, if Allah wishes to complete the child's creation, the angel will say, "O Lord, a male or female? O Lord, wretched and blessed in religion. What will his livelihood be? What will his age be, and what will he write? What will he? Sorry. The angel writes all his while. The angel writes all this while the child is in the womb of the mother. But it goes on to say eventually that the angel can rapes the child to save it from death if it dies before it's born, and also from something of burning.
Yeah, well, speaking of heaven and hell, would you like to read the next one that I just posted on the side chat? This one I think you'll find hilarious.
Was Abu Darda, that's how you pronounce it, reports God's messenger as saying, God will create Adam when he created him, and struck his right shoulder and brought forth his offspring, white like small ants. And he struck his left shoulder and brought forth his offspring black, as though they were charcoal. Then he said to the party on the right side, "To paradise, and I do not care. And he said to the party to the left shoulder, "To hell, and I do not care."
So are you a left shoulder or a right shoulder? And you're going to hell if you're a left shoulder. What kind of crazy shit is this, man?
Well, I think
The only thing you need to ask a theist is to have them explain to you the curse of Ham. Let's see what a theist has to say about the curse of Ham. I mean, it's clearly about race relations, right? Like, what do we think about that?
So basically, what this hadith is saying that every black person is going to hell. Literally. I mean, what about the brown people? Like, let's say the Indians, are they like what? Right in the middle, like between the two left shoulders? They're like on the rib cage. I mean, I'm thinking maybe he's Adam's asshole because I had chutney like 2 weeks ago and my eyes are still burning. So I don't know which anatomy of Adam's body it is. What kind of crazy nonsense is this?
I think Resistance thinks I'm white.
Yeah, I know. He always thinks everybody who's against him is white. I'm black as fuck. I'm probably blacker than this guy. Yeah, oh, by the way, he doesn't know that his own prophet is white as fuck.
Isn't he a ginger or something?
Yeah, apparently when he gets revelation, his beard starts turning red. And so the hadith talk about the whiteness of his chin, the whiteness of his armpits, the whiteness. Like there's even a hadith that says, "Hey, I'm looking for Muhammad." Is like, "Do you know where he is?" And then some guy points and like, "Yeah, that white man over there." Literally. and then Umar, one of the rightly guided caliphs, actually puts a fatwa saying if anyone calls Muhammad a black man, he will be killed. Literally. So this is after his death. Hey, George, you want to read another hadith? I got lots of them.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of insanity happening here.
Let me just find it.
No genociding of dogs. I heard everything you fuckers were saying.
What?
We wanted to leave you alone there, but you came with us. Okay.
I heard everything you guys said.
I just said let the dog out.
I know you have dogs.
Who is
I heard everything.
Who, me?
Yes.
I'm a friend.
Of whom?
LA.
I'm a friend of everybody's. I'm a friend of Daniel's and Yakov's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's cool.
He's an ally.
All right.
He's like Switzerland.
That sounded so funny. That sounded
I'm
like
watching you, Sam. I'm watching you,
like
George.
Sounded like what, Simon? Say it.
The leftists with the they're LGBT allies.
Hi.
Oh, please, Simon.
Why am I being watched by Isa?
You're not being watched by Isa.
I got kicked out of this room. I don't know what happens.
How did you get kicked out?
Yeah, I don't know. My app just shut down. Did you guys kick down? Every time that somebody finishes a poll, I get kicked out.
Hey, George, I just posted the hadith that I wanted you to read.
Wow, I'm surprised that you guys kept this room going. It never lasts. That's the reason why I just opened the other room.
Is there one where he slept with another man, or is that just a mistranslation of sleeping
No,
that side?
He slept with another man with his wife included. Like he was.
Just a regular
Can
threesome.
you put the reference on the chat, please?
It's on my picture profile. I'll bring it up right now.
No, I know, but can you put so I can copy and paste it?
Was he at top or the bottom?
So this is from. So if you look at my picture profile, right now, it's from Mustadrak al-Sahihain, Volume 3, page 410. Okay? And
And it says, the messenger sent for me on a cold morning. So I came to him, and he was under his quilt with one of his wives. So he let me under the quilt, and we became three.
And is this one of the strong hadiths, or is it a weaker hadith? Like,
I even have the isnad chain for you for that. So yeah, I wanted to check this because I thought this was like so far-fetched. I needed to do a bit of research, but because I speak Arabic, I actually went and found the PDF file. And for the Shamila, which is a link of all the like PDF sources for all the books. So and if you look at over here on my page, it goes through all the isnad in Arabic and says Hadathana Abu al-Abbas, Muhammad bin Yaqub. So these are all the people on the chain of link. And right at the end, and the green highlighted part, it says Hada hadith Sahih al-Isnad, which means that this is a Sahih hadith grading. This is the most authentic grading that you can get. Like this is as good as gold.
oh, that's a strong hadith.
Very strong hadith. Very, very strong hadith. So Muhammad had a threesome.
Is that in the link you posted?
No, that's on my picture profile. The link that I posted is another hadith that I wanted either George, but George is not here now. But I mean, if you'd like, Simon, would you like to read it? It's kind of funny.
I can't right now. I'm in the middle of doing something.
Okay, I'll read it for you guys because it involved Jews. It was funny. Sahih Bukhari 3399, narrated by Abu Hurairah, the father of the cats, by the way. The Prophet said, "Were it not for Bani Israel, which means the Jews, meat would not decay, and were it not for Eve, no woman would ever betray her husband." So because my food get rotten is because of you guys. And because women are unfaithful to their husband is because of you. So you make sense of that.
Actually, everything that is wrong with their life, they blame on Jews. So it's been going on ever since.
There's they even had like a Jew mouse test. Sorry, did you know about the Jew mouse test? Like apparently in Islam, Muhammad believed that there were some mice who became Jews, so he wasn't sure whether to hit it or get it out of the house. So he would put like a kosher and non-kosher milk to see which one it would drink.
I read about that 2 days ago.
And then if you find out it's a Jew, it won't kill it. And if it's a non-Jew, then it will kill it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
It's like the religion of Islam is predicated on Jews.
Why Islam is gay?
Yeah, but what were you guys talking about before I came in the room?
I had a question for Simon.
We're talking about hadiths and stuff, like funny stuff about
Simon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Somebody
It's
has a
not about
question.
Judaism, but they changed the topic once you went in.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, why am I blocked? Why you have me blocked? I don't know you.
I don't have you blocked at all. I don't have anybody blocked. I've never
Doesn't
had
have you
anybody blocked.
All right.
Yeah, British said you couldn't come in the room.
I'm actually following you.
Hold on, Simon. British told me that you said you couldn't come in the room, and I said that was very strange because nobody in that room had you blocked. And Simon is retarded. He doesn't block anyone.
Yeah, I'm actually following you.
He's just a retarded child.
Yeah, I'm actually following you, so I don't know.
Okay, I followed you back. That was weird. I just followed him back. That was weird then.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But then I think somebody else had me blocked, and then they undid it. I guess
But
they didn't want to say.
It was just British.
I predicted it may have been fish because he was in his feelings.
No, that's the reason why it was weird. And I told him to send you the link.
Yeah, I couldn't access. I couldn't access. But it's alright.
I followed Jimmy like a few days ago when he was mod with when we had like that big room or whatever 2 days ago, yesterday, whatever it was. But I followed him when there was a big room.
In the itty bitty titty, that we were all there.
Yeah.
Alright, all love. That's it.
Yeah, Simon is not drama. He's just retarded. He's a normal retard.
You say you never come to my rooms.
Yeah, Phoenix, because we were surrounded by Muslims, and then they report me, and then I get banned for a week.
Because she's a woman.
Well, tell me who to kick out, and I will. I'll even put you in mod.
No, thank you. But yeah, I don't know. I got reported the other day by a couple of Muslims, and I got banned for a week.
Yeah, I was banned for 24 hours last week because there was a Muslim room. I kid you not. They had their own name was the benefits of marrying children, and so I made a counter room, and I swear to God, I just made a counter room saying the harms of marrying children, and I got banned.
Yeah, because they must block people.
And I appealed it, but it was 24 hours, but I appealed it, and I came back. Of course, you know the thing. What you have to do is when they go after you, you go after their profit. That's how you get them.
Yeah, well, that's how I got banned.
If you want to really get into their head, you have to go after their profit.
I know, and that's how I got banned.
So once they go after their profit, they behave. They behave so much. And so now they've awakened the beast. All right. So now they're gonna get. Now I'm gonna go after their profit. So
they hate that I am a pedophobe.
You hate what is it? Minor attracted people.
I don't care if it's just that. Yeah. Sometimes, honestly, sometimes honestly, I just don't want to talk with Muslims. They're retarded. I mean, I talk with them, like you, for example. I like you. I am, and the people that are smart, but otherwise it's just like a lot of
all the
ranting,
people who hate Islam are smart.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but it's mostly like, I mean, my friends are some Jewish people, and so we end up always talking about Israel and stuff with Palestine, and that's how Muslims come in the room. But it's not that I actually look for Muslims.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I have from my father's side, my family is Muslim, and I'm the one who left Islam. And
may I ask you, Phoenix? I don't know if I asked you this before. How did you come to the realization that Islam was an evil ideology? How did you wake up to that, being a Muslim and being raised like that?
Well, my situation's a bit unique because, so I had this coffee shop. I ran it to the ground, and the next thing was for me to take my father's trade. And my father was a qadi. And what that means is my father was an Islamic judge. So he retired by that point. So I went to study in the Middle East and become...
Islamic judge meaning like in a Sharia law country?
Yes. No, he went to courts, he does arbitration, all that sort of stuff. So I went to study Islamic jurisprudence.
Oh, I remember you. You're Aya's friend, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I am Aya's friend.
This guy is sick. Yeah, this guy is sick.
I hope you mean in a nice way, but yeah, okay. Yeah. And so what happened was that once I started to go into Islamic jurisprudence, and I brushed on my Arabic again, and I mastered the Arabic language in about a year. And then I realized there was some really problematic stuff in the Islamic jurisprudence, and basically, if you know what Islamic jurisprudence is, they basically have dumbed it down for anybody into do's and don'ts. So they derived everything from the Quran, they derived everything from the Prophet's life and the Hadith and the Sunnah and his biographies, and have turned it into do's and don'ts in every single topic. So they basically dumbed it down for you. And once I started to look into it, it was pretty bad, like child marriage, slavery, even because my father comes from the Shafi'i school of thought. The Shafi'i school of thought is more militant than any other school of thought. I mean, they exclusively have bestiality, cannibalism, and necrophilia in that school of thought alone. It's pretty messed up. Of course, me being a man, I wasn't like I brushed it off, Okay, and because of my ASPD, and so what happened was that the thing started to hit me hard and put me in an awkward position was when I started to actually sit behind a judge in order to learn in the courtroom. And once I saw him, what he presided on some of the most disgusting, like most vulgar things that I've ever seen. I actually saw a farmer. He had like 8 women, and if you know in the Muslim world, if you have like a lot of women, you're gonna be getting a lot of dowry money. So that means you can make good cash. And he married this 3-year-old girl to this 38-year-old man, right? And the 38-year-old man was being pushed into marrying his daughter. And the 38-year-old was like, I don't know, man. I want to have sex with my girl on my wedding night. I don't know if I can do it with a 3-year-old. And because there's an Islamic tradition where Aisha was the Muhammad's child bride, was actually fattened up.
Yes,
she was fattened up.
The thighs.
No, but she was fattened up. She was fattened up in order to take the penetration. So that's why around 9 years old she got penetrated, because she was fattened up to the point where he can actually take it, right? So she said, "Don't worry, I'll fatten her up. And
hold on a second. For context, what country? Where were you born? Where was your father a judge, and where did this happen?
My father, being a judge, you're not in one singular area. So you could. My father was a judge in many different areas. So he went to different countries.
What country?
Most of them were in the Middle East. Most of them were in the Middle East and North Africa.
And where did this anecdote of you sitting behind a judge to learn, where did this happen?
I'd rather not say, because I've already been doxxed, but somewhere in the Gulf countries. Okay. I'll say that.
But it was in the Arab Peninsula, it was in the Middle East?
Yes, in the Gulf countries. I'll say it's in the Gulf countries.
Okay.
No, but so...
And just last thing, were you raised also at some point in the West, or only in Arab Muslim countries?
I was born and raised in the United States of America, but I very often went back to the Middle East area.
Where your family area was, and you did stuff there. Okay.
Yes. And so what happened was that while I was sick, so
for you it was known. Sorry to interrupt again. For you it was known like these things were kind of like unethical and immoral and all of this stuff, because you had a different understanding of the framework, or at least you understood the Western framework.
Correct. Okay, I understood the moral framework of what is being free, and what the principle of harm and all that sort of stuff. So I understood it very, very well. Luckily, because I actually went into university, not in my early age, in my older age, that means I've already been instilled by these morals to say, okay, you don't do this stuff, okay? So I knew enough not to, my innate being says, okay, this stuff is wrong. Like maybe someone who was younger, who hasn't been actually instilled these moral values.
You already had a westernized framework.
Yeah. So
when you saw this one, what happened? It clicked here.
So in the contract, it's called the nikah contract. So they said that, okay, if she dies on the wedding night, you can have your money back. Okay, so that's why he went with the wedding. And the reason why they're in court is because that 3-year-old girl literally died. And the man wanted his money back, but the farmer spent all the money. So he's coming to the court to get his money back. And I said to myself, I even saw the coroner's report. I literally saw that she was flattened. Okay, she was absolutely flattened. Her rib cages were turned into frying pans, like literally. And then I told the judge, and I said, are we gonna actually ask the question why this man is still walking? Like, I mean, he just killed a 3-year-old girl. And he says, well, it's in the contract, so, there's no blood money required. They knew when what they got it themselves into. Like, okay, that was when I said, okay, this is some really effed up shit. And I realized I'm going to have to do exactly what this guy did and allow this to happen. And that hit me. That hit me hard. That hit me really,
because
really
in the
hard.
end, you need to put yourself into context, and under Sharia law, that was okay. I mean, you had your mind under the framework of Western culture, but that didn't matter then.
Yeah, but then it mattered to me because now I have to do exactly what this guy did, how he would have judged, but so I actually went to my dorm. I was shook. I was shook for 3 days. Like I didn't even get out of my dorm for 3 days after what I witnessed. And after a while, I actually went on, and the last straw was for me when I actually saw a case where this man, he's a slave trader, and he was taken to court by his customer, because he believes that he actually oversold a slave, and the person who is the witness is the slave itself. The slave was literally in the room, and I was like, oh shit, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get the fuck out of here. And I called my mom and I said, hey, Mom, don't ask questions. Don't say anything. Just get me one-way ticket out of here. I'm going to sneak out of this place, because the first thing they tell us when we actually go to these Islamic universities is that you are not allowed to talk about any of this sort of stuff to normal people. It is a privilege that they've given you, and you're not allowed to talk to laymen about this. It's kind of like a Fight Club rule, and because it's considered treason if you actually show this to a layman person. So that's why I sneaked out. I went and I got my ticket, and I basically went back home. The first thing I did was I went to my father and I said, Dad, did you ever have to do any of this shit? Did you ever have to actually condone slavery, child marriage, and all that sort of stuff in a courtroom? And he was quiet, because he knew if I answered it, I would be really, really, really angry with him. And I was already angry with him anyways for put me through this, knowing full well that this was the case. And she was hoping that I would bend my morals towards the way that he thought. And so I punched him in the face. I literally did that. That was the first time I ever actually raised my hand on my father. And I didn't see my father for 2.5 years. And until I met him at one of my family members' funerals. And I told him straight up, and I said, Dad, if you want me back into your house.
How old were you when you punched him in the face?
That was about 7 years ago.
No, how old were you back then?
7 years ago, that was about 31. And so, and I said to myself, and I told him straight up, I'm not a Muslim anymore. If you want me back in the house, you have to accept the fact. And I said, if I accept that fact, my own family member is going to disown me. It's like, well, you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice, either me or your family. And after a while, he actually chose me. But now my family, his family, basically my extended family from my father's side, is coming after me. And they're saying that my blood is halal, which means that I'm ready to be killed by them. And it's
okay. I have a few. Well, I don't know. Like that sounds like an incredible story, but under the tradition of Islam, I mean, you don't really get to tell your dad, oh, why did you lie to me? No, he was complying. He was being a good Muslim. He was actually acting according.
That's what he told
to the
himself.
law. Yeah, but he was acting according to the law. So in theory, you did have no right to actually talk like that to your dad or demand from him any explanation or even put him into the dilemma of choosing you or choosing the family, because the one in the wrong there was you. So my question is, if this actually happened, how is it that you made it out without punishment? I mean, you went against Sharia law and you went against tradition and you went against the book, the Quran. So how is
because
it
we're in America.
that they give you a pass? Because
Yeah,
you're
but
protected by the laws of the land?
Yeah, I was in America, so it's different.
Okay, I get that. But still, in a family environment, like, how will your dad, quote unquote, choose you?
Choose me? I don't understand what that means.
Did he just stop being a judge?
No, yeah, exactly.
He was already
His
retired by that
career.
point.
His
He was
career.
already retired by that
His
point.
whole career was attached to Sharia law. So how would he be okay with taking your side instead of taking the side of the meaning of his whole life?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't tell you the full story, but after a couple of years, he decided to leave Islam himself as well. So.
Based, let's go.
Okay.
So my mom was a Catholic, and she converted from my dad, so she went back to Catholicism.
Are they still together?
Yeah, they're still together. They're still in the same roof.
Yeah, but he cannot say that he's an ex-Muslim. Neither can you, because that implies
he called himself a doubter. So what he uses a different term because he's more of a philosophical guy now. But he doesn't want to say that because if he did in front of like a Muslim, they'd probably kill him. So
exactly, that's my point. He would be punished.
Yeah, he knows that, and he knows that. So that's why he never goes back anymore. And by the way, that his own family members want to kill him too, because apparently I'm the one who converted him out of Islam.
So you guys can never go back to a Muslim country or a Sharia law.
I could never go back to my family again. No, I cannot. And if they say they've already
now it starts making more sense. But that's the reason why I had this question.
Look, listen, Aziz, if you want, bro, ask whatever question you want. Like, just simply saying that this guy's lying. Like, does this actually shock you that this stuff happened?
Guys, are we really believing this story, right?
We
okay,
are.
put that aside.
Hold on.
Put that aside. Does this come to a shock to you?
I'll tell you my points of contention.
Aziz, I'm talking. Instead of saying, oh, you're so stupid for believing this, instead of saying that, why don't you challenge anything that he said? Hold on, I'm not done talking. You challenge anything he said that you believe is not right, but you have to explain why you don't believe it's right. Not just say you're lying, but say why.
So I got a question. What did your dad convert into? I have a question. What did he become?
Nothing. We're not listening, right?
Just like me.
No, I'm wondering, did he just become atheist?
He's more of a rationalist.
Right, but did he formally become atheist?
Didn't you hear what he just said, or
no,
you just being stupid?
I would say he's atheist.
I'm asking a question.
He believes in the grand design.
He's a doubter.
He can answer his own questions.
He believes in the grand design, so he's a theist out there more than anything else. Just like me, I'm a theist too.
Did he formally leave the religion? Was there a day? Was it kind of just as a prayer? You said
we were at a dinner table.
You said he's allowed back in Muslim countries,
No, we were at a dinner table, and he told me straight up that I haven't prayed in the last couple of months. So
now you're not allowed in Muslim countries.
I'm not allowed in Muslim countries because my own
family
family members told the authorities about me that I'm a mulhid, and I've also converted my father out of Islam. Therefore, my blood is halal, including my father.
So you can't go back to Egypt now. Is that right?
I'm not from Egypt.
To wherever in the Middle East.
No, I'm not.
It doesn't matter where Aziz. It doesn't matter where he's from.
I know it doesn't matter. It's just, you don't have to lie.
Okay, then stop.
It's not important either.
Stop.
What I'm saying is, obviously, there's this idea you've converted out of religion. Now Isa said you're banned from Muslim countries. Is that
no? I didn't say. I didn't. You see how you're an idiot and you're not paying attention.
I'll clarify. Can you clarify?
Yes, I can if you shut up. I didn't say that he was banned. I said that if he dared going back to where there is Sharia law or a Muslim country, he might put his life in danger because he already spoke against Islam and he spoke against the Quran and he spoke against Sharia law. So that will not be welcomed in any Muslim country.
Well, you made an assumption.
No, it's not an assumption. It's how things work.
What, so has he made formal writings that is he an author and he writes against Islam? What
does that have to do? He already spoke
why would they kill him? Why would they kill him?
Because I converted my father out of Islam.
My dad doesn't pray.
That is considered fasad fil ard.
You know that in the Quran
They don't kill
mentions
it.
that. It's called. So there's a concept in the Quran that there's a verse in the Quran that says that if you cause mischief in the land, that should be in a punishment as well.
Do you know who
So
that's in relation to?
According to me personally, because I'm the one who actually is now disseminating disbelief. Therefore, my blood is halal according to Sharia. And if you actually studied Umdat al-Salik, you would know that too.
No, that's actually not true. Just because you cause mischief, your blood is not halal. That's actually not true. You made that up.
No, if you try to convert other people out of Islam, that is
very select things that make your blood halal. It's very rare.
So let's see what is the definition of someone who actually not only actively is rebelling against Allah, but also is making others rebel against Allah. What is that word called?
But this is the thing.
Yes.
Your blood is not halal, bro. You made
my blood is absolutely halal.
You want it to be. You want it to be. It sounds like you want it to
don't
be.
know. You don't know fiqh.
So if you were murdered in the streets of Egypt,
what method do you follow?
There would be no legal
Let me
proceedings.
go straight to your. Let me go straight to your method. What is your method?
Don't worry about that. That's not important.
No.
If
We're having a strict guidelines on Sharia. I need to know what your madhab is. What
four madhabs
do you apply?
All four madhabs. It doesn't matter what your madhab is.
See, he doesn't want to even.
If you got killed in the streets of
Aziz. Yeah, I know more than you would ever know about fiqh. So don't even try to. What usul al-fiqh? What fiqh do you apply? Go ahead.
So answer me this: if you were murdered in the streets of Egypt, right?
Look at this idiot.
Right? You were murdered in the streets of Egypt for what you just told me. You tell me there would be no legal proceeding. There would be no
just ask me. What fiqh do you follow? What madhab do you follow? It matters because I'm going to show you from your own books what fasad fil ard actually means. Go ahead, tell me which fiqh do you follow? What school of thought do you follow?
So no. Let's just have it. Let's not.
Aziz, the guy is literally telling you from what you believe. I will tell you why you are wrong.
You cannot show me one madhab that says because your dad doesn't want to pray anymore, you're allowed to kill him in the streets, bro.
Okay, if he's
That's
saying
not
that
what I said.
You can't show me not one of the madhabs
It's
says
not
that,
the
bro.
same. It's not
They're
the
not
same.
even. They don't even
It's
have
not the
disagreements
same.
about halal blood, bro.
Hey, it's not the
He
same.
even says ala Allah.
It's not the
ala
same.
Muhammad. He says that
It's
too.
not- oh my God. It's not the same not praying anymore than going out and speak ill against Islam or against the Prophet or against Sharia law. That's very different.
Well, that's why I'm asking you. Is your dad like is your
I
dad
know,
an
but
author?
it's different.
Is your dad, what does your dad do now? Is he an author again? Does he write books again?
Why does he have to write books? Why
No, I
does
just
he
want
have
to
to
know
write books?
what makes him publicly. Is he publicly slating Islam?
He doesn't need to be condemned. He doesn't need to be condemned by a government. He can be condemned by his family and the family and the community, and they can take the law or the justice in their own hands.
No, they can't.
They don't need a government.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely, they can.
No, they can't.
This guy has no idea what he's talking about. So he doesn't know that.
Okay,
An imam can actually do fatwa against a personal
So
person.
there'll be no legal proceedings after your family take the law into their own hands.
If an imam actually puts a fatwa against you, what has happened? If an imam puts a fatwa against you, is that not a legal proceeding?
So is there a fatwa against your dad?
Apparently, from my cousins, they say yes, it is.
Your cousin is not a mufti. He's not an imam. You know.
No, he said he went to an imam. He already said what happened, and the people who were actually in the university can also confirm. So now they went to an imam and got a fatwa against me and my father. What are you going to do about that?
So is that what they did? Did they do that? Did they get that? No. Did they do that?
Palestine.
Who is this idiot?
It's a law I too read.
Yeah. So you gave me a hypothetical. Did they get a fatwa? Because you're not going to get one, bro.
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They've already gotten a fatwa. If I ever come back into any Muslim country, that fatwa is effective.
You lied. So you've got an exclusive fatwa on your father, bro.
First of all, they're not going to actually announce a fatwa, especially if I want to actually come back to a question.
Famous? Like, who's your father?
Listen, this guy is a nutshell. He doesn't even want to
Aziz.
Hold on, check it.
Fuck. Who the fuck is this nigga?
Who's this guy? Yeah, he just doesn't make sense. He just doesn't.
Aziz, everything that he's saying, okay, can be. I mean,
he needs to prove it. He needs to prove it.
Is it that? I mean, he's not going to dox himself to prove something.
I'm not going to dox myself. I'm not stupid.
But Aziz, does this sound so out of the ordinary to you that this, like, stuff like this could happen?
Yeah,
no, it doesn't sound out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I think what it is.
I can give you documented examples.
Okay, hold on. Let Aziz speak, please.
So what he's saying is, right, that because his father left Islam and so did he, his family got his imam to order a fatwa on him. First of all, that wouldn't be a valid fatwa because that's a personal thing that you've managed to somehow get a private fatwa.
No, we have two different fatwas. Again, you don't know the details.
And also, you can't
so
get.
What is the first? So
no,
if you know,
he's getting you halal blood fatwa, a private halal blood fatwa.
What is the first? Aziz, stop. What is the first ruling of fiqh if you're actually trying to expose it to in a bad light? What's the first ruling for that?
Oh, which fiqh? Which are we referring to?
Any fiqh, any Islamic jurisprudence. If I actually were to say to give it to a layman to read in order to expose what it says, what is the ruling and punishment for that?
For what?
What the hell is wrong with this guy? I'm saying if I saw from any fiqh book, if I go to any Islamic jurisprudence and give it to a layman in order to expose it in a bad light, what is the punishment for that according to fiqh? According to Umdat al-Salik, according to Hidayah, according to any Islamic jurisprudence book.
Yeah, but we're not laymen, you know. You're claiming to not be a layman, and I'm not a layman. So you're ignoring the new ones. That's what it is. You're not gonna get upset.
Apparently, there's a new one. He doesn't even know that there's a new one.
You can probably lie to these guys in the room because they want to believe you. Well, I know how this thing works. Listen, you said, bro. It's borderline like ridiculous what you said.
Okay, but
again,
Aziz, wait, hold on. Phonics. Let's not do the yes I'm right, no you're wrong. If you're gonna say that it's ridiculous, tell him why he's wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell you why you're wrong. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Right?
Okay, Aziz, let's see how much do you know about fiqh. Let's see what in terms of.
Listen, that's not my. And you're probably not either, from the sounds of it.
It seems like I know more about fiqh than you do, and I know more about your Prophet and the Quran and the Sunnah more than you do. So far, it seems like you have zero knowledge. But you sound like a Shafi'i. You sound like a Shafi'i. Maybe we should go to Shafi'i books.
I find it difficult to accept the idea, right? And maybe I'm just delusional, but that your family, because your father no longer prays, and you don't.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
What are they? What are you? Are you publicly slating Islam? Like, what are you doing?
Yes, I'm saying that Islam is a dangerous religion, and I twit at it on your Prophet, and I twit on Islam itself.
Right, and are you going out and saying that like in the streets?
I talk about how your Prophet was banging 9-year-olds. I talk about Muhammad getting gangbanged by a bunch of the people.
So now, okay, now we're getting somewhere. So now,
I also talk about how your own Imam Abu Hanifa says that you can marry your daughter, your sister, your grandma as well.
I get it. So I get it. I do get it. Like, I do get what you're saying. Now I get it. Like, so obviously you're like an outward spoken anti-Islamist, right? Cool.
Yeah. Yes, I try to make fun of your Prophet every single day.
Father was a government detractor,
and I take religion.
If they kill him in the streets of Egypt, he is getting a trial. Whoever kills him is getting a trial. I'm sorry, your fatwa is not valid. You can't get a private fatwa on your family, bro. It's not happening, bro. You made that up, bro. I'm sorry. Computer says no. ChatGPT, yeah.
ChatGPT.
It's not happening, bro. You made that shit up.
Why don't you actually?
You can't do that, bro.
Aziz. Let's not do this. Why don't you actually in the Islamic laws that you know?
Yeah.
Why don't you just point? Because you're talking to a guy who is studying to be a judge. according to the laws.
Allegedly, obviously.
Okay, allegedly. Okay, fine. That's fair. That's fair. I don't believe.
I can even show you.
If you want to prove him wrong, why don't you tell him, listen, according to this law and that policy, this is why you're wrong and you don't have a private fatwa on your head. Why don't you do that rather than just say, I don't believe you, I don't believe your story, I don't believe anything.
Yeah, I don't believe in punching the father.
Because Aziz doesn't believe and he's everything that he accuses other people of.
John, hold on. Okay.
Instead of your dad, bro.
Okay, fine. You don't have to believe literally any of that. But why don't you tell him exactly what it was that you think that he's not telling the truth about and why he would? No, you haven't. You haven't. No, he asked you what school of thought that you have. You said it's irrelevant, and he's saying according to your school of thought, I can show you exactly why you're wrong, and you're refuting.
Regardless, listen, he's listening, right? Regardless of your madhab, you cannot get a private fatwa to order the death of your father and make the blood halal without legal proceedings. You can't.
It wasn't a private fatwa.
Not in one Muslim country, unless you're MBS. Unless you're MBS.
It wasn't a private fatwa.
You cannot do that.
It wasn't a private fatwa. It wasn't a private fatwa. It was from the Chief Justice Ministers. It was from a Chief Justice Minister.
So that your father must be a detractor of the state, bro.
Yeah, because my father is someone
an enemy of the state
as well.
Your father is a detractor. He probably did treason, bro.
No,
he said his father was a judge.
Right, he's probably a corrupt Supreme Court judge. He's probably a corrupt judge, but there's no.
No, just the allegations. That was the allegations.
I'm doing the math.
No, you have no basis.
I'm just doing the math, bro.
Your Todia does not work here, my friend. Your Todia does not work here.
It's probably true.
Yeah, don't try to play games with me, dude. I've played this game long in your diapers. So let me tell you something. It seems like you don't know your own.
Private fucking crazy.
So let me go through some of the fiqh books here. I just posted something. Simon, would you like to kindly read about one of the fiqh books from the Hanafi school of thought? Since he always talked about Egypt.
I cannot read.
So this is a book called Baheshti Zever. This is from Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanawi. He got his ijaza also from Al-Azhar University, since he always talks about Egypt. So I'm assuming that he would need an ijaza as well in order to go against it and argue against it. So why don't you read page 2 on the red circle part?
Sorry, I'm just reading something.
And just for people who don't know what.
Right. So I've got the Islamic jurisprudence here, just to completely shatter your reality that you tried to push to these people. I've got all the legal structures in place here. I'll read it out to you guys in case you don't know. Here you go. Okay. It's talking about the permissibility of making blood halal based on speaking badly on Islam or rejecting the faith. There are no means to perform a private fatwa. I've asked ChatGPT. This is all the sources here. This is just facts. Don't hate me. Don't hate the messenger. It says it here. Blasphemy is taken seriously, but with conditions. It says it here. You cannot prescribe a death penalty without legal proceedings. So if you're walking the streets, you cannot kill you. No one can kill your father, bro. The state can order it, and if they haven't ordered it,
Did you hear who I said that actually gave the fatwa? Again, it was a Chief Justice Minister who actually put the fatwa on me and my father.
So what happened? What you're saying is your dad was a judge, and a Chief Justice Minister ordered a fatwa on his death. Is that what you're saying?
And me as well. So it's both of us.
Okay, I mean, you say you don't want to doctor, so you have to be careful with this stuff. Don't get too much information here, man. That's too much. But I'm just saying, like, you just have to. This doesn't make sense, bro. I'm sorry. It just doesn't add up, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to someone. So here's something. So since he actually wants to bring up like actual fiqh books, I'm actually bringing you a fiqh book, and I'm even quoting the reference of the fiqh book. I'm not actually going to ChatGPT to do that. So, this is actually one of the from the Hanafi school by Maulana Ashraf Ali Tahanawi. They're actually using court systems that I had to actually study this. They made an English translation of this, but I had to learn it in Arabic. This is one of the books that I had to actually study. If you go to page 2, it tells you about not if you can have sex with a little girl, but how to have sex with a little girl, and the rules of engagement when it comes to banging a little girl. Why don't we do that?
Right, but I just don't want to get into that because we did that with the Judaism and we did that with the Catholic Church the other day. I just don't want to do that, bro. I want to go down that avenue. I just don't want to go down that avenue, bro. I just don't want to talk about the Catholic Church. I just don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about rabbis doing funny things. I don't want to do that, bro. I don't want to do that.
In Judaism, we don't have this in Judaism. Aziz, try to stay focused.
We've seen it, bro. We've seen it.
Try to stay focused.
We've seen the laws.
I don't know why people engage. I don't even know why people on Clubhouse still engage with you.
It's
but if they choose, they can do this. But keep your Jew-hating rhetoric to yourself if you can, as much as you can, please.
Let's just not go there. The whole of Sarah, let's not go there. Like it's just disingenuous. You know, scriptures justify.
What's disingenuous is you try to keep your Jew. This is not just like Aziz. This is like if you wanna swim in a jihadi. If you want to swim in a jihadi Nazi sewage, go to a Mills room. Here, please keep your Nazi rhetoric to yourself.
No, but I walked into like a kind of disingenuous Islamophobia hate fest, you know?
No, it's not Islamophobia. Not everything that you say about Islam is Islamophobia.
Almost like that's the only thing you guys talk about, the religion itself. Like I don't talk about Judaism. No.
Well, because Islam, unlike Judaism, is a framework. Because Islam, unlike Judaism, is a complete political ideology. And Judaism, we don't have. Political. We are not talking. No. There's not a single state that has Jewish laws, but there are many states with Islamic laws, and even in the West, the Muslims in the West, I can ask you at what point if you think that you should have like a Sharia law
Jihad over here, Jesus, what retards.
Yeah, I just want to say.
Anyway.
You guys make it about religion. You
It is about religion. It is about religion.
You don't believe in God.
Let's read out what Abu Hanifa says.
But you want to kill me because of your religion. That is my problem.
Since you brought it up, let's read what Abu Hanifa says about
you don't believe in God,
who you can marry. So this is basically one of the guys.
You also don't believe in God. You believe in Satan or whatever you believe in. So you're not in a position to. And to be honest, Aziz, I don't care about what you believe. Just stay the fuck out of our way and don't kill Jews. That is all I'm asking. Don't kill Jews. Don't spread hate on Jews. Don't spread light on Jews. It's very basic, simple things that I'm asking of you. And it is about religion. Your people from your religion that are taking dominance in all the top terror organizations that are screaming Allah Akbar. And unfortunately, Aziz, your religion has been weaponized to do awful, awful things. And people like you, let me finish. And people like you, the so-called moderate Muslims, are being silent while your religion is being used to commit awful, awful crimes. So yes, it is. It's not about me. It's about your.
You funded ISIS.
Again, you are ISIS. You understand? You are ISIS.
I love that shit.
But Aziz, we are not funding ISIS. We are not funding anyone. Qatar funded Hamas. Okay, why am I? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not engaging with an idiot.
Okay, so there's actually documented cases about this. So, as an example, you can have a fatwa.
I don't want to have a religious discussion. No.
So leave.
Then go down.
So leave. Bye. You're not contributing anything, so you will not be missed anyway.
Okay, so you can have a fatwa. Call it without
can I respond to him before we move on? So this is from his own book. This is from his own Islamic jurisprudence book. This is from Imam Abu Hanifa, which is one of the guys who actually started the Hanafi school of thought. So this is as big as it gets. Imam Abu Hanifa said in Al-Book al-Mahalla, Imam Ibn Hazm says that there is no punishment for the one who married his mother, who gave birth to him, his daughter, his sister, his grandmother, his paternal aunt, his maternal aunt, his brother's daughter, and his sister's daughter, knowing that they were forbidden to him. This is from your own scholar, who is pretty much the greatest scholar that ever lived from all the four schools of thought, with the exception of Imam al-Ghazali. But yeah, this is the guy that they actually, this is what we call a fiqh book. It's all dumbed down for you to the point that you just have to accept what it says. So it's very explicit that you can actually marry your own mother in the Hanafi school of thought.
Okay, and there's two documented cases. So the one case you can have a fatwa calling for the death of someone without any legal proceeding of any kind. And that is, of course, a very famous case of the fatwa against Salman Rushdie. There was no trial, there was no indictment, there was no legal form, no defense right. It was simply a religious decree calling for his death, which was attempted and acted on by people from around the world. The other case I wanted to mention was the case of a 23-year-old in Saudi Arabia, Hamza Kashgari, who simply posted on Twitter 3 posts where he posed questions, and because of that, he was immediately threatened with death sentences. He actually flew to Malaysia to escape possible prosecution that was being threatened to him. Saudi Arabia managed to get extradition from Malaysia, even though they don't have extradition arrangements with Malaysia. He was sent back, and he was held in prison for 2 years without any trial, and he was threatened with charges that would have led to his death penalty for merely asking questions, and in no way left Islam or anything like that. And even that was considered sufficient to threaten his life. So yeah, so all of these things are possible given that.
For anyone that doesn't believe that Muslim countries, or some Muslim countries I should say, do not permit child marriages to adults. There, you can look it up. I put a couple of the cases in the chat. I think one was a 9-year-old and one was a 12-year-old who were both killed on their wedding night.
Yeah, there was a case based on what we were talking about earlier in another room, where there was in Yemen where a 23-year-old was married to a 13-year-old. I don't know what age they got married, but this was the age at which she ended up dying because he insisted on forcibly trying to consummate the marriage. And despite the various injuries that were in the process of forcing to do this, he continued his acts and led to her death.
By the way, I have another one over here. If you guys look at my picture profile. So this is from Imam Hajj al-Asqalani from his book Fath al-Bari. This is the book that they actually use in order to understand the accuracies of the grading system. You know, the Sahih, the Hasan, and the Da'if, and the fabricated. So all the different grading systems come from this very particular book as to what the accuracy is. If you read this page over here that I actually have an excerpt of, it even talks about child marriage. And Ibn Battal said, it's lawful to marry a little prepubescent girl with an older man as consensus. So this is consensus among all scholars. Ijma'. So when you see the word ijma', that means all four schools of thought believe it. Even if she is in the cradle
And it's taken from the hadith of the Messenger of Allah that a father can marry his little prepubescent daughter without her consent.
So even if she's in a cradle, she's a 1 month, 1 day old, totally okay to get married.
I think there's technical problems with the room.
Did anyone hear what I just said?
We heard you. I think that people are just sort of in shock.
Yeah, so this is that we had to learn in Islamic University. I mean, I can go into down the cannibalism route. It gets funny, like if you don't take it seriously, but people do take it seriously, and it doesn't get funny in those countries. But now I can probably talk about it, and if you want, I can go down that route.
No, well, there's YouTube videos you can watch where public stations in some Middle East countries discuss this and are giving advice or religious rulings to people, and they discuss this idea of marriage at any age, that there's no lower limit of any kind.
You know, a few months ago, I came across a book called Law. I think it was called Law of the Desert. It's about Bedouins and Bedouin law and how it was developed. And I think all of these legal systems, whether they be sort of Judaism or in Islam and Bedouin law, kind of developed. And I think that this is sort of the reality of the foundation of law, right? Because you have a set of moral about realities, and you have a bunch of cultures that people interact with, and some of them get legislated and kept in through society because that's a part of like popular culture, and then some things get thrown out. Actually, I find legal development pretty interesting. But I think it's part of the same sort of thing.
So I just posted about the cannibalism thing. If you want me to read, it's from Minhaj al-Talibin. This is a book by the Shafi'i school of thought. So this is Imam Nawawi's work, and he's a giant scholar when it comes to the Shafi'i school of thought. In case of urgency, one may even eat a human corpse or kill an apostate or an infidel not subject to Muslim authority in order to eat him. But one may never kill for this purpose an infidel subject of a Muslim prince, or an infidel minor, not so subject, nor an infidel who has obtained a safe conduct. And then says, a person suffering from hunger who finds a corpse and at the same time eatables not forbidden but belonging to another should, according to our school, eat the corpse rather than taking eatables that do not. No, I look back at it, it's pretty funny. So guys, don't steal if you're hungry. Just eat another corpse.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you know how strict Judaism is about avoiding death and avoiding improperly slaughtered animals and getting the blood out of food? If you're a Cohen, you actually can't go to a family member's funeral.
Yeah, but however, if life is at stake, then those rules don't apply.
No, the idea is that it's just so, it's like the idea is that God came up with those laws, and then Christianity, and then Islam, and it, went from this to that, and it's a total reversal of what came before. In so many ways.
Jason, I didn't get a chance to tell you I appreciated your comments from the conversation the other day.
Yeah, I remember the last room we were in. But vaguely, I haven't seen you for a while, actually.
Yeah, it was just like a couple of days ago, within the last couple of days, when we were talking about what were we talking about? What I appreciated, it was a pro-life abortion discussion, and I liked how you were able to agree with people who are taking the opposing position, based on whatever the actual principles being discussed, which a lot of people have difficulty doing.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Yeah, that was an interesting discussion. It was funny how Sam actually kind of accepted the line of questioning I gave him.
Yeah, that's
the outcome.
At the end, I had to give up because it started getting a little ridiculous and repetitive and kind of dumb at the end. But for the most part, it was a pretty good discussion.
Yeah, you had that guy in there who was like, the government can't restrict people's freedom at all. Like, basically, like the hard libertarian guy. And the guy was like, don't understand what the government is.
Yeah, and then you gave some examples, and I gave very specific examples where it is done, and you just seemed to think, I don't know, we just kind of ignored it.
What just happened?
I don't know.
There's some kind of technical problem, so.
With what? What happened with the libertarian guy?
Oh, it was just a very long discussion. He was a libertarian, but he was not very realistic about history and the way things actually are.
It was Elliot. You were there for my conversation with Elliot. Actually.
Oh, was it the one with the law isn't philosophical, or was it that?
Yeah, well, yeah, and then Elliot was really advancing social contract theory. He was saying, well, like this was toward the end, and I think you had gone by then, but I'm like, well, dude, if you try to find a time when that occurred or something, or if you follow up on those ideas and say like, okay, does it look like a contract? Generally it doesn't, And I said, we'll have to talk about it next time. Sam was actually saying he wanted to do a movement, so I didn't try to treat it in great detail, but Adam Smith had a good discussion of why social contract theory is maybe not so prevalent.
Oh yeah, social contract theory is fucking bullshit.
Tell me more about that. What's your take on that?
I don't believe in social contract theory. I think it's an easy way to completely evade individualism, and it completely escapes the reality of either you believe in the concept of individual rights or you believe in social contract theory, where we're basically you can just vote. You can vote on literally anything, as long as it's and the justification you can give is, well, because we just vote on it, it's acceptable. We all societally agree on particular things that we can just remove certain freedoms, and it's like, yeah, okay, so you just don't believe in individual rights, and you have a misconception of what the role of government should be.
Yeah, but Simon, you would agree that these individual rights aren't absolute, right?
Yes, they are. Either you believe in the concept of an individual right is simply a moral principle. So it's like saying, well, me killing people is not absolute. Like me initiating force is not absolute or not. It's like, well, it just depends on your moral framework. Either you accept that the initiation of force is always evil, or you don't. So it's like saying, like, that's the point. And then the role of government is simply to recognize that moral principle and then define what that actually looks like. So that's why you have like laws to explicitly say, this is a principle that if you go past it, you are in violation of someone's rights. But if you're saying, well, rights aren't absolute, I can't help you with that, because a right is simply a moral principle. Either you abide by and you accept people have the right to act how they want, unless it violates the rights of another person. But in order to have that principle clearly defined, that's where the government steps in and then writes it into law. This is when you're in violation of another person's rights. So yes, rights are absolute. Either you accept it, either you accept that premise, or you don't. But if you don't, then you simply just don't believe in like the totality of what individual rights actually constitutes.
I mean, rights aren't inherent, right? Rights are only like granted by the state or the collection of people that make up like the entity in which you live, right? So you live in a community, you live in a state, you have a government or some whatever, and they decide what rights are extended to the individual versus the collective. Like, if you live by yourself, it doesn't matter.
If I may offer a slightly different take on this, I kind of agree with Simon that there are some fundamentals here. The details are decided by the society. There isn't some way to like get the platonic form of the details. But if the society decides the right and wrong, then there are public policy consequences, and there are visible like stoppages and screw ups and infelicities in the way the government works. So there is natural law. I think this is the natural law position, the position of the people in Edmund Burke's time and Adam Smith's time, the position of the people who embody classical liberalism. There is order to this. There are policies that if you make them, they're not going to work out. You can't just make any policy you want because the collective says they want it. And that is governed by things outside of what people want. And we need to want to know those things and want to conform to those things. And that's what brings you around to concepts of natural rights. There are things we can embody in public policy and things we can't. There are people we can give certain powers to, and there are people who shouldn't have those powers relative to other people. And that is shown in the workings of it and in our experience with that.
Well, Jason, I agree with you that there are limits to what a collective can do versus individuals' rights or natural rights, whatever you want to call them. On the other hand, those rights are not absolute. And that's the problem, is the collective can impinge on those rights. So as a very simple example, most people accept that individuals have a right to property, but that right to property isn't absolute, because you have the state has the power of eminent domain and can force you to sell that property.
And that's just a contradiction.
Well, it's not a contradiction. This is.
Yeah, how could you have the right to property, but then also the state gets to just take it?
Because you assume that these rights are somehow absolute and they can't.
I'm not saying they're absolute. That's what I'm saying. I never said that they're absolute. I'm saying if you accept contradictions, then you just contradict the idea of
It's not a contradiction.
Rights.
It's a question of scope and domain. You have a right to property. You have a right to property.
As long as you don't, as long as we vote it away.
It's not voted away. This is the thing.
I mean, how could you accept it?
Well, that's
eminent domain is not voted.
Maybe you don't understand how eminent domain works.
No, I understand how it works. I'm just saying it's a contradiction.
It's not a contradiction.
Well,
it's a contradiction. How can you have a state that protects individual rights but also violates the right of property?
Because you're assuming that rights are somehow absolute, and
I'm not saying it's absolute.
Well, if I may offer an alternative way to look at this, Simon, I mean, the only reason you have any, or in most cases anyway, when you have a court case, when you have a dispute, it's because there is a conflict of rights. And conflicts of rights occur all the time. And they can't be absolute. You know, like we have a basic right to go to go wherever we want to go. And people also have a right not to be bothered by other people. And so if you go like right into someone else's space, now there is a conflict of rights. On the one hand, I want to go there.
Can we just define our terms? What are rights?
A right is a cause of action at law in a public policy sense.
So you're simply saying a right is a legal legal framework then?
No, it is a just basis for a dispute. It's a just basis for a dispute. If you have a right to something, you have a basis for a dispute. It doesn't decide the dispute, okay? Because someone else can have a just basis as well.
Well, that's with legal context.
Yeah, it's within a public policy context.
Yeah, without a political system, rights don't exist. That's my point, right?
Well, without people being involved in adjudicating the conflict, sure, you're right. Which is to say, without a community, rights don't exist. But as long as you have a community, you have third parties to conflict who basically are like, hey, you two, we got to figure this out. And that's the origin of rights. That's the origin of public policy.
If you live by yourself, like, you can have all the rights you want, right? You can do whatever you want. But as long as you live with other people, you have to live within the boundaries by which the community has defined those rights.
Well, no, you don't. You don't.
You do.
No, as long as you live within a community, you have to accept that other people are going to be involved in disputes you have with other people. But that community frequently cannot force you to do the things according to the rules it has decided, and frequently fails to do so, and there are numerous examples of that. And that's a clue that the community has made the wrong rule. And no, you don't have to abide by it. Prohibition was an example of that.
No, Jason.
The federal laws against marijuana are an example of that. You really don't. Maybe you should, but if you want to talk about what really happens, no, you don't always. And you often don't have to.
Okay, that's the point. It's not unlimited. So if you say you don't always have to, no, but sometimes you do, and that's the point. So the state does have that power, and it is necessary. And as you pointed out, it's necessary for a couple of reasons. One is when you have two rights that conflict with each other for different parties, and also when you have the interests of the state as a collective versus the individual rights. And this is shown in one example after another.
Yeah, well, I mean, the two examples that you gave actually were prohibition and marijuana. I mean, for a very long period of time, people went to jail for those things, and then they were changed, right? So the laws can be changed. Nobody's saying that laws are absolute and the way that they are formed, because they can be modified. But again, that takes the larger collective to do that. The individual doesn't do that.
Marijuana is still illegal in this country.
I mean,
there's a contradiction.
Right,
but it's still illegal in this country.
So
it's illegal at the federal level.
Yes. Yep. So that's the community of the United States. Do you have to not smoke marijuana? Well, as a practical matter, no. The answer is no. Marijuana is illegal in Texas. Do you have to not smoke marijuana in Texas? No. So, no, you do not have to. None of these things are things you can state as absolutes, okay? You have to abide by the laws the community sets. No, you don't. You can do, rights are absolute. No, they are not. Okay? And so on. All these things have to be balanced against one another.
Is murder always wrong?
Well,
in the legal context, yes.
Only definitionally, Simon, because a murder is a
It's
wrongful
against the
killing.
law.
No,
That's
a
right.
murder is a
It's
wrongful
an
killing
unlawful.
definitionally.
It's
But it's also wrongful.
It's unlawful killing.
But it's also definitionally wrongful. Okay?
Murder
Nothing's true
implies that
definitionally,
you are
absolutely.
killing first without
Well,
any reason.
well, but it doesn't matter that Simon. But what I'm trying to get at, Simon, is that's in the definition of murder that it's wrongful. That you did a wrong to someone by killing them.
Well,
That's the
killing is not
definition of murder.
inherently wrong. I mean,
Right,
Okay,
but a murder is not the same word as killing. So you want to use
I know that's
the
why
way
you
you
chose
should.
murder.
That's well, but that doesn't make any sense because it's in the definition. Of murder.
My question was simply is murder always wrong?
And that
You
is
can say
by
yes.
definition. By definition, it is always wrong. Yes.
Yes,
that's
it's
the
absolute.
definition.
Yes, so absolute. It's an absolute. It's always wrong. My point is that rights are absolute. So anything that contradicts a right would be just that. It's a contradiction. Your rights are absolute. People can have contradictory views on rights, but it doesn't mean that it isn't absolute. It just means that you have a contradictory view and justification to violate that right.
No,
Of course,
Simon,
rights
not
are absolute.
true.
But where are
The
you
rights are
getting
not
this?
absolute. All the rights have limits, and those limits mean that they're not absolute. They don't
Okay,
apply.
so if we just vote each other, if we
I
okay, so
didn't-
if
I
we
never
vote
said
a way
it.
to
No.
murder each other,
No.
or sorry, kill each other, does that make it justified?
No. See, Simon, this is where you're making the nexus. I didn't say that the rights go away simply by voting against them. So certain rights can't be taken away just by voting
Why?
against them.
Why?
But rights have limits. The limits do not imply that they can be taken away simply by voting against them.
Okay, well, what's the principle stopping?
But like,
Well, I
what are
gave you
these
an example
universal?
already of eminent domain.
What are these universal
The state
rights
has
in
an
which that you espouse? Like, where do they come from?
It's a
What is
moral
this list
principle.
of them?
It's a moral principle. Either you uphold the principle of individual rights or you don't.
So I
It's
see it
based off
somewhat.
it's based off human nature and man's requirement for living. So when you say stuff like, to me, property rights is one of the most sacred things. Without property rights, almost nothing. No, you don't have other rights basically. Because if a person cannot keep what he actually produces, you're basically a slave.
But you agree that the property right is not absolute, right?
Yes,
Well,
of course I'd
no,
say
I
property
think
rights are absolute because it's based on man's nature. He needs to have this.
Right.
If you just believe in contradictory justifications to remove certain things, of course. If you simply say, again, you just said the state can take away because of eminent domain. Eminent domain is just there because we voted on
Wait,
that. If you vote away eminent domain, it goes away.
How do you obtain property?
Sam asked a good question earlier that I would like to address, okay? Just where do these rights come from? And in classical liberalism, we have a different idea about where they come from, right? Which is that you try different things, and it turns out certain arrangements of rights actually work. Your government system actually works. And certain arrangements lead to chaos, okay? And things that you don't want in your society. And so the truth is, we don't know. Maybe they come from God. Maybe they come from nature. This is what you see in Adam Smith's writing on this topic and why they are called natural rights or God-given rights. Because we don't know where they come from. But the proof is in the pudding if you organize things in certain ways. And then when Euro says rights have limits, this is, I think in a classical liberal framework, we have a very different way of articulating that. It's simply that rights come into conflict from time to time. They come into conflict. And then you must adjudicate that conflict. Do they have any inherent limits? No. I mean, if they never come into conflict, then there's no limit, right? But they do come into conflict, and then you must adjudicate the conflict.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the legal system. The point is that all of the laws are supposed to define what your freedom of actions are based off of individual rights. So, for example, your property rights, your property, the law says if you take someone's property without their consent, you're stealing. The principle is if your freedom of action intervenes in someone else's freedom, which is, it includes their property, then now you are in violation of a person's right. Now you can bring in the courts, an adjudicator to adjudicate the situation. Now that's the principle of every law. Every law is supposed to be based off of individual rights. So when you say individual rights are not absolute, it's like, well, what do you mean? The entire legal system and framework is based off of this. So what would that actually mean, and what would be the?
There is no legal framework anywhere in this planet where rights are absolute. Rights are
I didn't say that they are.
But he's asking what that means.
Pointing to an example.
He's asking what that means. What does it mean that rights are not absolute?
It means they operate in certain domains, and that they have limits, and they do not apply beyond those limits. So you have a right to property is a good example, but you can lose that right to property through several different means. So one of them, I already stated, eminent domain. I mean, there's also adverse possession.
But hold on. You're not losing the right. It's just eminent domain itself contradicts property rights. So you're just saying it doesn't. But I'm simply saying that eminent domain absolutely contradicts property.
Let's set it aside. You can't keep you can't keep like hitting the same button over and over again and trying to get a different result. A little flexibility will help. A little flexibility will help using different words and using different examples. So Simon, another way you can lose your right to property is harmful use of the property. If you use your we'll have a second to ask your question. I'll have a second. If you use your property in a way that is harmful to others, it can be taken from you. And that's true all over the world. And it has been true for however long you want to think. Okay, this is kind of a universal principle of jurisprudence. So if you don't like the example of eminent domain, there are other cases where you can use your property.
And the question is how do you obtain property in the first place?
And that's a good question too. And I'll come to that, but let's hear Simon's response.
So the fact if you're saying that you violate someone's right, you don't lose your right to property. You simply just have some sort of. I mean, give me an instance of that actually happening, because I don't know. Like you have a gun and then it's taken away, for example, or like what? Like give me an actual.
You own a house and you own land, and the government wants to build a highway.
No. We're talking about harmful use now.
That's eminent domain.
We're talking about harmful use now. And so you have to stop hitting the same button. You're not answering the question he asked. You're not answering the question. You're not answering and he's allowed to dismiss it. You're not answering the question. You're not answering the question he asked. He said, okay, what's an example of harmful use? Okay. Leading to the loss of your property. Right. You need to answer that if you want to speak to his question. And if you don't, then let someone else answer his question.
His question was providing an example, and I'm giving you an example
of harmful use. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
And that's what his question is about. That's what his question is about. No, don't go back to eminent domain. Okay. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do not hit the same button over and over again. Either of you. All right. So unconstructive.
Okay, that's fine.
Harmful. So what's an example of harmful use? Okay, an example of losing your property from harmful use is you are driving drunk, you hit a building with your car, and your car is taken from you for a period of time.
I mean, you forfeited your rights.
Yes.
It's not the fact that it's not the fact that you lose your rights or someone votes your rights away. That's just a clear example.
I never said
it's like saying,
voted away. I said
Just let him finish what he's saying.
Why don't you just stop talking and let me finish the point?
Because you're saying you're forfeiting.
Euro, we know that. We know it.
If you murder someone, you forfeit your rights and you go to jail.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Okay, so
right.
So you don't think that's a case of a person losing their property rights? Then I'm not sure what we would call that. Okay, I'm not sure what we would call that. But that at least clarifies something for me. But Sam wanted to say something, and maybe we can go to Sam's topic and then come back to them.
I like Jason's example, but I think the idea if you can forfeit your rights, then I think inherently, then like that means that rights are not universal, right? Like in many cases, you don't regain those rights back.
You're just hitting the same button. You had a new topic. You had a new, more specific topic. Instead of hitting the same button.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like help you obtain property in the first place, right? That was my question.
Okay, so one way you can obtain property is someone else gives it to you.
Right, so that means granted property, right?
Yeah, you can be granted property. Yeah.
And if there's a conflict between that property, then it goes to be adjudicated. Like who is the dispute in ownership?
You know, like two people think that people gave it to them. Is that the conflict you're talking about?
Yes, or someone believes that they inherited it or were granted it, and the person who previously owned it said that was either a mistake or a misunderstanding.
Okay. Yeah, and then it will be adjudicated. Okay, and this is.
That doesn't really contradict anything I've been saying.
No. The question is like property ownership, right? So if we use houses, for example, or something that we can identify as something as transferable by contract, the fact that you is transferred over by a contract and that it has to be recognized by the state or a collection of people to identify whose property it belongs to, so that there's not an issue, right? Like that means that body of recognition can also be a body of revocation. Like they can be in charge of it if they decide to. If they so deem it, it can be reassigned. Yeah.
Well, that's not really getting to like the heart of what I'm actually talking about. I'm simply
so it means that you don't actually have right to your own property as long as the society says that you don't have the right to that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying if you don't believe in property rights and you just come into my house and steal everything, well then I don't have rights, do I? A right is a moral principle. Either you live by those principles or you don't. That's why, for example, socialists or communists, they don't mind destroying property because they don't have because they don't think that property is inherent to someone's life, essentially they don't believe in the concept of property rights, so they don't care if destruction and all that type of stuff. That's why they don't mind giving away everything to the state, right? So if you don't believe in that principle, if you don't uphold that principle, then you don't have it. That's why in America you have some semblance of property rights. In North Korea you don't, because those people don't believe in property rights, so they don't have property rights.
Yeah, so Simon, I do actually agree with you on the principle, and this is why I actually believe that or I've come to the belief, I should say, that this is sort of a cultural thing, right? So morality is a cultural phenomenon, and every society has its own cultural, moral, social framework. So by that idea, that means that it's not a universal principle, right? Like at least your concept of these rights are not a universal concept. They are particular to a particular culture and probably a place.
Well, in the application, I'm saying the like the principle of property rights is true for all human beings. That's why if you look at North Korea versus America, North Korea is a shithole. But if you apply that principle to North Korea, you would see basically South Korea. So I'm strictly talking about like based off of human nature, based off human the requirements of man. Property rights is essential for a human being to flourish as a human being based off of his nature.
Well, that's a different,
so it's like
that's a different story whether it's inherent or not to humanity.
I'm not saying it's inherent. I'm simply saying it's a requirement for human beings to uphold that principle in order to flourish as human beings. So I'm not saying it's inherent. I'm just saying.
How is it different, Sam? If it's inherent, it's universal, isn't it? No, I'm asking Sam.
Oh, sorry.
No, I don't think so. Actually, I think that those are, and quite honestly, I don't know if it's actually inherent. I think that we have just sort of come to this conclusion at our current stage in human evolution to say that it may be something inherent because we feel like it's a concept that currently works, right? But there are many people out there who believe that it doesn't work, and that's their own personal philosophy or issue. Like there are a lot of people who are saying the American capitalistic system, for example, of individualistic property ownership and whatever else, it doesn't really work because there are so many people out there that don't have.
Hold on, Sam. Everyone can have an opinion, and they're allowed to be wrong. That's one of their rights. So just because people hold the opinion, that doesn't really help us to decide whether it's inherent or not. Those people may be wrong, right? So what's really going to help us to decide? We can't just go based on people's opinion.
Well, that's why it's based off rights.
I think he's saying that we're basing it off of the evidence, right? So we can see that individual property rights as a concept works in society because we see society flourishing for a particular period of time, where we see countries or concepts where people don't have individualistic property rights and they do not flourish. Therefore, the evidence is contrary to the idea of human
human flourishing.
Flourishing.
Yeah. And so then if you think about it from the standpoint of a public policy, someone who is responsible for public policy, someone who has to make choices about public policy or administer public policy, I think you have a duty to choose one of these scenarios over the other. And it's a very clear duty.
Okay, so
do you see? Yeah.
But so I can accept your premise, but I can also say that okay, so but does that mean that it is what Simon is calling an inherent right, or at least I think that's what it's calling an inherent right? It's 3 a.m. Sorry, where I am. I didn't realize how late it was.
Yeah, Simon keeps saying he doesn't want to use that word.
No, but it's because I'm not saying it's an attribute of a human. I'm saying based off human nature, property rights is a principle that you should uphold as a moral virtue. Like,
so he's not saying it's an inherent right, but I think it is clear that it's the best we know we can do now. And as far as our understanding of human nature, like Simon is saying, it's the best we can do now. It's the best we know now. And shouldn't we try to do the best that we know now? I mean,
yeah, it's an idea, but I think what Euro is saying is that like naturally in society, when you have like a collection of people, that is not something that and I'm not trying to contradict what you're saying. I'm saying what I think I understand Euro to be saying, which I think I may agree with, is that when you have like a collection of 100 people or whatever, then the rights that you have are something that is only extended by virtue of the whatever the majority of the people are that establish the
I think it boils down to what I said earlier, and it's basically the vote. So just to press back on the point of his eminent domain thing, the only reason I said that eminent domain is inherently just contradictory to property rights is because if you look at the role, the proper function of a government, essentially it's there to protect your rights. That's the only function of a government. Now, when you break it down, if you say that I have property rights, and then you tell me, well, the role of government has the power to use eminent domain, all you're saying is that I have the right to property, but now because the government needs something, they can take my property, literally expropriate it, and then use it how they want. That's the literal definition of the violation of my rights. But only because you have allowed the government to, you somehow justify that. That doesn't negate that you're violating my rights. That just means that you have justified the forfeiture of my property and the legal, and you've just given a legal justification for the government to do so. But that doesn't mean that you're not contradicting my right to property.
Okay, so some people could say that the right to own property is only extended to you by the government, right? Like they're say that again.
The government, so the government doesn't. The government is there to recognize your property. So
Why?
If I have.
Why can't they just say the government owns the property totally, and that you are?
I own it.
Well, okay, but Sam, they can say that.
So then I don't have property.
But Sam, you keep coming back to this position that is like people can say this, people can say that, but that's not an argument. People can say anything. That doesn't give you any basis.
I'm not saying people. I'm saying the government, right?
Same thing. They are people. They can say whatever. They can say whatever they want.
Anybody can say whatever they want to say.
And that's not an argument.
Anybody can say whatever they want to say. But the reality of it is that the governments are structures that humans as a collective create. Right. This is what we fight wars over. This is what we kill people over. This is and also legal systems are things that are structures that people as collectives create, and you can have all the rights and freedoms and do whatever in your own space and your own time, but as long as you live with other people, then you are bound by the rules of other people. And what we have created in the West, as I understand it, is a balance between the state control and the individual rights and freedoms. So, and which does not exist again universally in every society, but it's something that is a thought experiment that expanded into practicality through Western society with the invention of things like liberalism and whatever else you want to call it, right? Like those are just things that.
But Sam, this is not an argument. This is guys. Hold on a second. Sam, you're introducing all this stuff, but it doesn't really help us to discuss eminent domain, right?
Well, we're not.
So it would be better.
Exactly, eminent domain.
Yeah. But Simon was saying, if they could take your property, okay, then how do you have a right to property? It's a contradiction. Okay.
No, the question is how do you have a right? How do you even have a right to property at all? Right? It's an extension of the state giving to the individual. The state.
Okay, so that's you're advancing that, okay, as a thesis, but we don't have to accept that, okay? So if you're going to say, well, I assume that property is due to the state's grant to you, then I assume it's not a violation of your rights, okay? But you can't make us work with that framework, okay? We need to be able to comment on that. You can't just force us to accept that, okay? That's assuming the conclusion or begging the question, all right? We don't accept, neither Simon nor I believe that that's what property comes from. So you want to introduce that as a hypothesis?
Okay,
sure.
so where do you believe that property actually comes from?
It's a good question. Nobody knows where the natural rights come from, and there are several recognized ways to obtain.
No,
there are
it's
several
property.
There are several. Yeah, there are several recognized ways to obtain property all over the world. One is you receive it from another person. Another is continuous use. There are, 5 or 6 others. Acquisition, the creation of something out of something else, and then the fruits of something that you own is another classical way to obtain property. So, for example, if we agree that a certain person owns a certain tree, an apple tree, the apples belong to that person.
Okay.
And these seem to be true all over the world. When you look, when anybody has property, they more or less accept these. There are Smith will list 5 of them, 4 or 5 ways to obtain property.
We all agree that the primary case is possession. If you possess it, then it likely is yours at some whatever, right?
Yeah. If you possess it, it is probably yours. Okay. That's certainly a good starting point.
So let's use a bit of a thought experiment. So let's say you go on an island somewhere, right, and that nobody has touched before, and as far as you know, and you plant your flag, and you live there for 5 years, and the question is, does that property belong to you?
Well, I mean, you can't really claim property to yourself.
Say that again?
Well,
you can't claim property to yourself. Like the whole point is that if this is an island and I come to your island, well, it's not like I'm just gonna start stacking coconuts or start taking stuff from your island. I mean, this is yours technically.
Oh no, I said nobody is there. No, you're the first person.
You don't.
Then you own it. Sure,
the concept of property itself doesn't even apply.
But then someone else comes to the island. It does apply. It does apply because someone else can come to the island later. They can come in 10 years. Okay, so yes, it does apply, right? The island is not, in a different dimension. So
no, but that's not.
So someone can come to the island. So the concept of property does apply. Someone can challenge your right to this property. Yeah. So let's say 5 years. It could be 10. All right. This is occupation in the English legal system, and I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, something like that is the limit they set. Generally it's something like that. Maybe 20 in some countries.
I mean, there's even. Okay. I mean, depending on the certain context. I mean, if you go to the island, spend 2 years, you mix your labor and your mind to creating something, and then you leave for 5, 6 years, 8 years, whatever it might be, and then there's another person who comes and does.
Are you a fan of Ayn Rand?
Yes, absolutely. I'm an objectivist.
But we just more or less are answering his question yes in different ways, and I'd like to hear. Okay, what did you do with that?
Well, I'm giving.
I would like to hear what
for property.
Well, you're just giving me another one, but we answered Sam's question. So Sam, what are you going to do with that? Okay, if I said yes, what are you going to do with that?
All right, so this is the question. Now that we have the property dispute, right? So a second person comes after 10 years and says, well, I see this property, this is my property. Do they not have a right to the property?
Yes, it's called adverse possession. There's an entire legal framework on this.
Adverse possession. All right, so we have adverse possession. So in adverse possession, I presume that there was going to be either some sort of war or somebody's going to end up dying.
No. That's not what adverse possession means.
Okay.
But I see what you're getting at, but maybe you should. You could just read in the definite. Please don't do that. You could look it up, Sam. But adverse possession is when you act as though you own the property without the permission of the owner for a long enough period of time.
Okay.
So that's what's called adverse.
And then this in this dispute. So how are we deciding or determining who is the rightful owner of said property, right?
So normally it's like in actual like legal disputes and how it's been adjudicated is that the person no longer took care of the property and then someone else came and then actually mixed their labor and their mind with it and then they basically adjudicated in favor to the person that was actually taking care of it because there has to be like like some sort of like you can't just like leave land for like 50 years and then like let it rot and all that stuff. I mean,
why not? You can do whatever you want to with your land.
Simon, I think what you said there is, but no, but Simon, I don't think that's completely intellectually plain. Okay, no one says mix your labor and your mind or whatever.
Yes, there's actual
with that. Like, no, this is how I know that he follows or like science.
Yes. Okay, please let me look. Please let's. I'm telling you, it's not true. Okay, I'm allowed to tell you that something is wrong. Okay, you don't have to agree with me, but we can't have a conversation if you don't let me tell you that something is wrong. All right? I don't think anyone says that in any legal material. They don't care whether the person mixed their labor or mind or whatever. They just care whether they possessed it. If they possess it for long enough, okay, Sam asked, how do we decide if they possess it adversely for long enough, like 10 years or 20 years, then they own it, okay? And there may be additional steps they have to take. Like they have to possess it in a notorious manner. They have to post in the newspaper every 5 years or something that they possess this, they are taking possession of this island.
Yeah, but all the things that you said are extremely like subjective, right? They're like, and that's the point I think of the matter is like there are no such thing as objective laws. Every law, all laws, all structures of law are completely subjective to the society or collection of people that it pertains to. And if somebody if somebody owns this land or somebody is the only known person on this land and other people come on it later, then that individual is the person who like sort of sets the standard for this legal system based on his own subjectivity, unless the people kill him and then they create their own.
Not based on his subjectivity. What do you mean?
Of course. No, like, because he who controls the land writes the rules.
No, that's not what the rules.
I mean, that's not even like.
But that's false, Sam. That's false. That's not where the rules come from.
Okay, where do the rules come from?
They come from traditional usages.
Traditional usages are also subjective. This is why we also have traditional usages.
Sam, look, you're changing the topic here subtly because you said he who owns the land writes the rules, and I said no, that's not true. Okay, so let's settle that. They don't come from one individual owning the land and deciding what the rules are. They come from people who are settling conflicts, deciding what the rules are.
No, that's they settle method, those. But it depends on also the method in which they settle the conflict, right?
Well, you can settle a conflict
by getting rid of the conflict by killing the other person.
In general, you cannot do that. In general, you cannot do that.
Well, morally,
because it upset. No, in general, you cannot do it because it is upsetting to their family and it leads to further conflict, and because it reduces the productivity and survival likelihood of your society. Yeah. So, in general, we don't see that the norms that evolve are like two people disagree, we kill one of them.
Jason, have you ever read this book called Moral Tribes by Joshua Green?
Well, I want to make sure that you understand my answer to your question before you ask me another one.
No, I'm just asking if you read the book.
I gave you an answer to your first question.
I do understand your.
Okay, well, I don't want to answer your second question.
I do understand your question, and it sounds kind of
my answer, not my question, my answer.
I'm sorry, I do understand your answer, and it does sound like an allegory that Joshua Green gave in this book. I think it was called the I forget what the allegory was called, but I'm curious if you read this book.
I don't want to answer your question.
Because you don't want to read it? I mean, you didn't read it.
No, I don't want to answer your question. I don't want to answer your question. So I'm not going to answer your question about this book or any other questions about that book. So to focus on the topic here, Sam, you keep doing this to me, where we have a topic. I try to give you something to work with there. You don't really respond to it. You just make me move to something else.
No, I didn't.
I'm trying to make.
I said I accepted.
I don't see it that way. I don't see it.
Okay,
I just want to go back to like the whole like nobody writes that. By the way, John Locke actually writes like basically what I said.
John Locke.
His labor.
Yeah. John Locke writes that, yes, and no public policy is written that way, right? And I think this is where you and I have a disagreement from a previous room, where I think you're making a big mistake. Is you're assuming that John Locke's attempt to kind of summarize the legal system he inherited is foundational to that legal system, but it's not. And so the idea that that's like how to explain what the legal system does is, I think it's not a good explanation. I think there are much better ones, and actually Adam Smith does a better job than Locke. Blackstone does a much better job.
Well,
and that's why I disagree with your
framing. To go back to the original claim you made was that laws are not philosophical in nature, and my claim was that they are, because politics, the nature of political philosophy is that it's the application of ethics to social questions. Without a moral philosophy, you can't have a political system. So unless you have a theory that tells you what's right and what's wrong in the world, you don't have a legal framework that stems from that. So
I would agree with that. You need a structure of justice.
Absolutely. So all laws are philosophical in nature, but your view of it is that all these laws just come out of some vacuum and just exist.
No, I never said. I did not say that.
Yeah, you said no laws are philosophical in nature. That was your initial.
I did not say laws come out of a vacuum and just exist. I did not say that.
I know you didn't say that, obviously.
Okay, but you said your view is this. Okay, so
I was very explicit.
So,
I still.
You said your view is this, that laws come out of a vacuum, and this is not a fair summary.
No, that's my take. I said that's my take on what you think. I'm saying your initial claim was that no laws are philosophical in nature.
That was not my initial claim either.
Yes, it was.
No, my claim was laws are not based on moral philosophy. Something along those lines. That if you look at where they come from, they don't come from people reflecting on philosophy or working from the works, in particular, of moral philosophers like John Locke. Where do the laws come from? They come from traditional systems of dispute resolution. That's where they actually. I
think you mean moral framework. Is a moral framework a better word than or concept than moral philosophy?
Well, one consequence of that though is it means you can't use philosophers as references for the law, because the law did not reference them. The law did not come from their works or emerge out of their works. If you want to look for references for the law and understand how the public policy system evolved, for law or public policy actually, then you have to look to basically older public policy and what are sometimes called political economists, okay? Or you have to look to something called jurisprudence. Books on jurisprudence are surprisingly valuable, which they're more about like, why is the law the law? Or how do we make good laws? But just looking at philosophy in general is not helpful. This is my point there.
Well, I mean, every person who has some moral framework got it from some philosopher. I mean, that's just true for literally everyone.
Yeah, I think this is a chicken or egg thing.
Yeah, well, no, but the thing is, that's why I'm saying, like, politics is the application of ethics. So you can't have politics if you don't have an idea of what's right and wrong. So every person has some sort of sense of right and wrong. Whether it's actually a good system or not is irrelevant. If you have a system of right and wrong, all of your political positions stem from that moral framework. So you can't have a political system without that moral framework. So you might not explicitly say, oh yeah, this law is because of Locke, this law is because of Rand, this law is because of Kant. That might not be the case, but like where it actually stems from are from these philosophers.
The philosophers are just trying to.
So hold on a second. It doesn't.
Gosh, is it?
Good. Alright, so when we do that, I'm not understanding it, right? Then I thought, like, you know what? Maybe Drew might need some help, so he might need a master moderator. So then I'm out at Honey and Aaliyah, right? And then I'm thinking, oh, Danae, I'm gonna stay in the account. Gotta mod Danae. If there's a buzz about it. The next side, y'all even want to list of
Game Changer was trying to bait me into a
Why they lying? And they not even gonna give the read to the bitch in front of them.
They gotta try to bait me into the debate. You know my policy. You wasn't trying to bait me in the last room?
Hell nah.
Oh, okay.
You're lying.
Oh, okay. When you become a stupid entrepreneur,
you a fucking liar.
I'm a fucking liar, but you believe in her, but you knew me first. But I'm such a scammer, but you trusted me enough to cash at me and pay me.
I paid $50.
So why would you pay a scammer? So why would you pay a scammer and a liar though?
Yeah, you are a scammer.
So why would you pay me?
I will hit your hand when you do.
So why would you pay me though?
Something real.
So why would you pay me though?